lose it. Okay, there we go. We're back. We lost it for a split second on the OBS side for whatever reason, but OBS did a quick reset. Okay, we're good. I think we're good. So you asked how much propellant does fit into Starship. Well, here you go. Here's the graphic. So like I said, this is coming from X. This is coming from a guy named Grandpa Joe. This is how many truckloads of propellant of the various propellant sources that Starship utilizes. So of course it uses methane and liquid oxygen, liquid methane, liquid oxygen, or methalox. And it also uses liquid nitrogen to push things and to be a pressurant for the vehicle. This system is, yeah, let me just tell you what. 134 liquid oxygen deliveries, 43 methane deliveries, and that's just for the booster. Then we have 48 oxygen deliveries for Starship and 14 methane deliveries for Starship. So that is a total of 18 metric tons apiece in the methane trucks, 21 tons apiece in the liquid oxygen trucks, and then 21 metric tons apiece in the liquid nitrogen trucks. So yeah, for a total of 269 deliveries of CH4, 393 for liquid oxygen, and 263 for liquid nitrogen. Yeah, 2,800 metric tons of LOX, 1,800 metric tons of methane, 1,000 metric tons of LOX for Starship, and 260 metric tons of methane for Starship. So it's a little bit of a lot. It's a little bit of a lot. They need a pipeline to save some trucks. That is apparently supposed to be the plan. Let's not forget that SpaceX has been building and also has plans to build basically separator plants for the methane, liquid oxygen, and liquid nitrogen. They already have some of that infrastructure already there. Yeah, they are building sites at Boca Chica for their own propellant manufacturing. So I can only imagine it will be a future implementation that they will actually have direct from the plant fueling lines going to the pad. Did my question get answered? Couldn't tell because of the F. Yes, I just answered it. Yeah, we'll need that to scale up to several launches per day. Indeed, 100%. Yes, indeed. So, yeah. Thousands of metric tons of propellant could go into Starship and Super Heavy. And like I said, the future plan, to my understanding, is that they are not only building and have built infrastructure for their own propellant production at Boca Chica, I can only imagine they're going to integrate that into the pad system in the future, whether it's by pipelines, direct from source piping into their tank infrastructure. I can only imagine. Is all I got to say. I can only imagine. What's up, Explore? How are you doing? They need bigger trucks? Yeah. Apparently, it's something on the order of like 30 delivery trucks a day for a certain number of days in order to refill everything. Like, they have been just pushing trucks for like the last month. Actually, I think it was higher than that. I want to say it was like 60 deliveries a day for like however long, however many days they had up, ramping up to, because as you can see here, I believe these are the number of deliveries to fill up the tank farm. So 269 deliveries of just methane, almost 400 for liquid oxygen, and another 263 for the liquid nitrogen. So yeah, you would need many days, weeks of deliveries across all of these required truck deliveries that they're having here. So yeah, logistics nightmare is, an understatement, if I do say so. Yeah, definitely an understatement. All right, let's see here. I want to make sure we are up and rolling on everything. Yep, it looks like we are good. Perfect. So yeah, as far as I am aware, it's pretty awful. And if YouTube chat, I keep forgetting that whenever the broadcast ends, I have to pull up another YouTube chat because the other one freezes. So if you were in YouTube chat and I've been ignoring you, I apologize. It was not my intention to ignore you. All right. Yeah, hopefully we don't get another blip on OBS because that was frustrating. But yeah, so again, these are all coming here from NASA Spaceflight, giving us 24/7 live coverage. You can see the tank farms are very, very, very active. They need a truck farm. Yes, they do. Awesome graphic. I know, right? So again, that was from Grandpa Joe over on X. Came up with that graphic. And speaking of graphics, we have another one. This is supposedly the last flight of Starship Block 1, if you want to call it that. And we have another one here from Boca Bingo. Look at this. So we've been talking about it here on and off stream for a while. SpaceX does have plans for another evolution of Starship coming up immediately after this flight. Well, I say immediately. It's not like they're going to be launching probably before the year is out. But they do have plans to stretch Starship. Why? Because currently Starship can't get like really any meaningful payload into orbit. And that's a problem. So they're stretching Starship to give it additional payload capacity. They're reducing the size of the fins, if not getting rid of the fins altogether. Yeah, they're doing a lot. They're moving the header tanks around. There's a lot going on here into what we're calling Block 2 Starship. So ideally, this will be coming out here in the next year on Flight Test 7, whenever that will be. I don't think that SpaceX has a license for Flight Test 7 because it is going to be having a new vehicle design and things like that. So like I said, I don't expect Starship Block 2 to be launching before the end of the year, but this has been a like a 36-day turnaround from the last from Flight Test 5, the fastest that they've done a Starship flight test turnaround. So you know, it might be, it could launch before the end of the year, you know, right after Christmas or on Christmas. It could be a present to the world. I don't know. But yeah, so the next iteration of Starship is in fact already around the corner, and here's a fantastic image of it here as well. Who is this by? Delta 9250. But yeah, this is essentially what it's going to be looking like here in the future. Notice the stretched tank structure. Notice the lack of forward flaps. And also what's kind of interesting is apparently Elon has stated in an interview that booster, the next generation booster, will only have 3 grid fins. So that's interesting. So yeah, they're really streamlining the vehicle down, really trying to get rid of any extra mass that's not needed. Now that they know, you know, it's kind of the whole engineering process. You build something that works and then you optimize it from there, right? They clearly have something now that essentially works, and now they can actually spend time optimizing it and reducing weight and mass where it's needed, and, you know, making minor changes to it. Or at least I say minor, but stretching the entire system is not really minor. It's definitely a fairly large structural change, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not like they're completely changing the system itself. So that's good. But yeah, so Starship Block 2 could be as early as this year. Probably not, but it'll be really interesting to see when and where that comes to be. But we are here on Flight Test 6 with Booster 13 coming back for another launch catch attempt. At least I hope so. They better. Right, Chad? They definitely better. There we go. They still haven't landed Starship. They have not still landed Starship. Well, I mean, do you count the water landings? Because those are technically what Booster did. Booster did software landings, and that carried directly over to the catch attempt for the first time, first try, right? So ideally, something similar can happen here with Starship. That they're what did I say earlier? Expanding the flight envelope of Starship today. They're doing a steeper re-entry profile to really test out the thermal protection systems, and also the overall structural integrity of the vehicle in and of itself, because they might need to do steeper re-entry profiles in the future if they want to land back at Starbase here under the catch towers. There's a lot. There's a lot of testing that still has to go on in order to return an orbital class vehicle back down to the catch tower. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. They've watered Starship. Yes, it's sprouted. Yes, indeed. Santa Starship. Yeah. Yes, indeed. But it should be good. So we're starting to see some of the propellants condensing the outside of Super Heavy here. At least I believe that's Super Heavy. Yeah, that should be Super Heavy, because Super Heavy has some additional structures. They've kind of redesigned some of the structures around the vents. So these are the liquid oxygen vents, if I'm not mistaken, these tubes, and they are new structures to help the venting process and things like that. To protect them, I guess I should say. I think people forget these are prototypes. They are just prototypes, which is kind of insane, right? Like these are definitely functional prototypes, which is amazing. These are what would you call them? Protoflight test articles. Protoflight being a combination between just a prototype and a flight system. So yeah, these are your protoflight test articles. There's your banana for scale, by the way, chat. We have stickers on, we have meme-worthy stickers on Starship and Booster today. We have a banana for scale. That banana is in fact holding a banana that is to scale, so that's pretty cool. What's people protocol for launch? When do they leave area and how far in advance? There are no people on the pad right now. When do they clear it? Probably definitely before, definitely before prop load. I don't know exactly how far in advance before then, but they definitely clear the pad before prop load, and they started prop load like 30 minutes ago. So before then, I don't exactly know. I don't know what their rule book is, what their standard operating procedures are for that. But yeah, it would be hours before launch, or at least more than an hour before launch. All right, we should be having the live stream here soon if it hasn't already started. There it is. Awesome. We can go ahead and kick that over. All right, let's see. We have Jesse talking here. Yes.
Here at SpaceX. Same.
Let's go and get in the live stream. Ooh, yeah, getting the drone footage, chat. That's great. 33 minutes here before flight test launch.
All over again. As Kate mentioned, it's been just over a month since Flight 5, making this our quickest turnaround yet between Starship flight tests. Our ultimate goal is to get that.
Are people allowed in the bar on top of the high bay during launch? That's a great question. I have no idea.
Team went to work, immediately implementing lessons learned.
I have no idea. I don't know how big their safety keep out zone is.
This is what rapid iteration looks
I like to think that the production facility is far enough away, but they might clear that out anyways.
As soon as possible.
That would be a hell of a view.
That is bringing us the rapidly reusable Starship that will soon be taking us to the moon and Mars.
Excellent.
Flight 5 proved that we can safely bring the booster back to the launch tower, which is a key factor in driving rapid reusability.
They say today's flight envelope test seeks to expand the flight envelope, what'd I say, on ship and booster capabilities and get closer to bringing reuse of the entire system online. Objectives include the booster once again returning to the launch site for catch, reigniting a ship Raptor engine while in space, and testing a suite of heat shield experiments and maneuvering changes for ship reentry and descent over the Indian Ocean. What's actually really interesting about this particular flight, chat, is that it's later in the day, so it'll be 4 p.m. Central Time instead of like 5 a.m. Central Time, because they want to do a daylight landing in the Indian Ocean for Starship, so they can actually see more of what's going on in the landing zone, which is actually pretty cool. So definitely be on the lookout for that here in the next couple of hours once Starship lands.
We've got our assets out there making sure land, air.
Let's see if they can stream live better than Netflix. You're not kidding, man. What a pertinent meme to call on.
It's looking great, little breezy today, but well within our constraints.
How's that volume for y'all, by the way, chat? Max out there.
Onboard the vehicle,
there we go.
You can see
That's
those
better.
White frost lines starting to tick up.
Yep, we are well underway in propellant loading.
And liquid oxygen out to
50% here on Starship, and only about 30% on booster.
Just a couple minutes after, at about T-minus 41. We're almost halfway full on
a
ship.
tenth the mass of Starship. Yeah, Starship is massive. What did we say? Like 2,800 metric tons of propellant alone? Yeah.
Ship.
Absolutely
and then the booster's
stupid big.
Out at about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So we pretty much we're loading up right to that last possible minute, keeping it as dense and cold as possible, and then getting off the launch pad.
It's essentially called, and y'all have heard me talk about this before, it's called stuffing the tanks. Because the cryogenic propellants are hitting ambient temperatures, they are boiling off constantly at a specific rate. As you fill more and more and more of the tank structure, and that tank structure starts cooling off more, you of course are able to reduce that boil off, but it always happens. And so they pretty much stuff the tanks. They keep loading in propellants all the way up to around T-minus 2 minutes to launch. And then they close off the valves. They will remove all of the remaining propellant in the the actual fill and drain valves, and then we are go for launch. They're pressing for flight, and they basically don't do anything after that. So they're going to be continuing to fill the booster here for the next 30 minutes, or like for the next 28 minutes, and keeping all that up. What's up, Juan? How are you doing?
Off the pad, though, we've got
give a thumbs up for the video,
week,
chat. That's right.
24 to 48 hours
That's right.
later. But everything looking
Power
great.
has its arms
I'm
out in a
excited to be
victory
able to see
stance. Yeah.
One of these get off the pad. Check back in with
Yeah.
everybody.
The catch arms are already in their pre-launch check configuration. So, oh, nice. They got some bananas on their shirt. Banana for scale. Awesome. I like it. The catch arms are going to then, after launch, move into the catch attempt. Now, just like Flight Test 5, there will be a required manual command from the ground, from the flight director, to Booster 13 in order for it to then execute the landing. If not, it'll just land on a preconceived or predetermined flight configuration down in the Gulf of Mexico, basically like the soft border landing tests. So if the flight director doesn't like something on the pad, if something's out of parameters for a catch attempt, they will not be sending that go for a landing back at the catch tower. We'll see. It was exactly like that in Flight Test 5, requiring a manual command, just like this time, and hopefully we'll get a good catch attempt.
Missions to go to the moon or Mars, or become tankers for refueling,
Hey,
or any
Meredith, how
number
are
of
you?
other uses, but the boosters will come back and turn around to launch the next ship. So in order to hit that production cadence of hundreds per year, we're rapidly building out Star Factory, which is our Starship production facility in Texas.
And live views, not
Yeah.
live views, but views of.
I like how they
Star
say
Factory.
hundreds per year. Actually, to hit Elon's required goal, it would require thousands. Yeah. Megatons of movement of cargo between here and Mars in order to sustain and start up an entire Mars colony. So yeah, you would need, I think, somewhere on the order of 2,000 starships, if I remember correctly, from a paper a long time ago. Like 2,000 starships every flight window between Earth and Mars. Now, we're very far away from that. It's not like we're going to be hitting that in the next 10 years, but that's kind of like the eventual goal in order to sustain a Mars colony, which is pretty crazy. I started seeing more people saying that the Starship won't really be useful for anything more than LEO. If that's true, wouldn't that defeat the purpose of the NASA grants? Yes and no, Spastastic. For payload direct into space, it will only be useful for that because, well, I mean, I wouldn't want to say it's only useful for that. There's a lot of things that Starship can actually do because for the most part, your system is going to be capped on volume over mass, right? That's almost how it is for every launch vehicle. You are capped on volume unless you're sending tungsten into space, right? You don't have anything that heavy versus the overall volume for payload. So what they actually could do potentially is send up like a Falcon 9 upper stage with a payload on top of that inside of Starship. Again, if there's enough volume, if there's enough room for that. And then you can get a really, really big satellite much further because you're basically getting to orbit an entire Falcon 9 upper stage, right, without using its own propellant. So there's sort of things like that that could happen depending on how volume and mass works out. But yeah, Starship otherwise can't really get anything below or beyond low Earth orbit without refueling. And it requires, at least by current standard estimations, around 15 flights to refuel. So that means for one system to go, say, to the moon, it requires 16 flights overall. And that's a huge risk when it comes to talking about spaceflight operations. That's why in-space refueling is a huge milestone marker on the SpaceX roadmap, and why it's also on the NASA roadmap for HLS. So on terms of NASA plans, yeah, it's definitely difficult. I've said this for a long time, ever since the Starship HLS got selected, that it's really not optimal for what it's supposed to be doing. Like, honestly, to get people onto the surface of the moon, you don't need Starship. It could just be a cargo carrier or something like that. But hey, you know, they did provide the most, there's Mechzilla in the background, Mechzilla. They did provide the most capable, cheapest option for a NASA contract, and that's what NASA wanted, right? So that's what we got. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of logistics that have to happen to make Starship, I wouldn't say useful is the correct word, but to make them, to make Starship actually be able to perform and execute on these different logistics in space. So yeah, there's a lot there to unpack, but we can certainly get into that. Oops.
As you might have guessed, is
Nice.
Banana.
More
That's
bananas
a
for
live
scale,
view
chat.
Inside Starship.
When
and if
will
you
we
look
see
closely,
twin stack
you can
Starship?
see
Next year,
our
most
stuffed
likely.
banana payload, which is doubling.
I'd like to
as
think next
today's
year we can get
zero
twin stack
gravity or
Starship.
Zero G indicator. And while this payload will remain inside the vehicle at all times and will not be deployed today, it did give us a chance to do a test run of payload approval processes.
That's actually
with
a big
the FAA.
banana, chat.
And that's something that we're hoping to do next year if we start flying our first Starlink satellites on Starship. Godspeed, banana.
Some additional size for context.
I wonder why. I wonder who made the banana for scale this flight's particular
How
meme.
big Starship is? Let's take the average size banana next to the average size human,
Why?
which is about 2 meters high, towering over our average human.
It's
is the length
normal
of the Millennium
size?
Falcon, which comes in at 35 meters. Our Falcon 9 rocket with the payload fairing attached is double the size of the Millennium Falcon at 70 meters, and nearly twice the size of that is the fully integrated Starship at 121 meters tall. The ship is about 50 meters, and the Super Heavy booster alone stands 71 meters tall. And we do have plans to make the ship and booster even
So how many
taller.
bananas is that?
And yeah, it might be hard to imagine that.
Ooh, 33 Raptors, chat. That's the bottom of the first stage. That's Booster 13's Raptor engines.
As you can see on your screen, with 33 much larger Raptor engines. I love this view. This is looking up at the aft end of Starship there at the engine bay.
Nice.
Now moving up the rocket, the ship...
So we've been talking about this as well. So the last flight, Flight Test 5, had, as far as I'm aware, 100% reliability on all Raptors, which is crazy. You guys remember the first flight test, we had like 6 outages. Oh, no, I think it was like 3 or 4 outages on launch, and then after attempted relight for boost back burn, we had like 0. We had 0 relight. I think it was like 3 or 4 on relight. Yeah, not great. And then flight test 5 was like 100% reusability or 100% reliability, which is pretty cool.
The ship's heat shield is
Seeing the
composed
bottom
of
view reminds me of
thousands
the N1. Yeah,
hexagonal
no
ceramic
kidding.
tiles
33
designed to
Raptors,
insulate the
yeah.
vehicle during atmospheric entry, where temperatures can be as high as 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit.
Hopefully these
or
Raptors
over
come back intact, I
1,400
agree.
degrees Celsius. The tiles are something we iterate on every flight test. as we
Shockwave
build towards a heat shield
unstarts. No, I
requiring
think they
no
had problems with
refurbishment between
refueling,
flights
with
to unlock
getting
rapid
propellant to them.
use.
Because as you're doing your
And
boost
the
back
teams
burn and
have
you're
actually
like
already
sloshing
begun
your
testing
propellant,
the heat
I
shield
think they
tiles
had
in environments
problems
simulating Mars
getting
atmospheric
propellant into the
entry
engines to
conditions,
ignite
which
them.
we'll see more
If I
of in
recall
just a few
correctly,
minutes. You know,
they had
slightly
blockages
different
or
than coming
just
back to Earth.
not good.
Slightly different.
That's why it does hot staging now.
And in between
The engines
first and second
constantly
stages
stay
is
on to
our
keep it
hot
under
stage,
acceleration
which we saw in
as well.
action on flights 2, 3, 4, and 5.
So I want to say flight test 1, they completely shut down the engines, or they shut down all but 3, and now they keep more on, something like that. So something bad about propellant ingestion.
Successfully lifted off at 7:25 a.m. Central Time.
Oh, you're talking about
Texas.
on the liftoff.
Gorgeous
Oh, I
sunrise
see. I'm sorry.
ascent that
Yes, they do
was very
stagger the
quickly
start.
Followed by the hot stage separation.
Ooh,
maneuver,
look at that,
which you
chat.
see here, as well as on
yeah.
multiple previous Starship
Oh,
flights.
great shot.
The booster then performed a flip maneuver, boost back burn.
There's
and
the
then
hot staging
jettisoned
ring
that hot
jettison.
stage, which you see there.
They jettisoned that to keep the overall center of mass aligned with the vehicle, because that staging ring is essentially a big gigantic piece of steel that's really structural only in order to hold up Starship and allow the gases during hot staging to to expand and not blow your header tank off. Great shot on the catch. That's amazing. Ooh, and slow-mo. But they jettisoned that in order to keep the entire vehicle stable during entry.
Chopstick arms back at the exact same launch
so
tower
good.
that it
Gosh, I hope we get a
launched
repeat
from.
of that today,
It
chat. That's
was
going to be good,
insane.
good.
As you can see, we all went bananas.
Bananas? I see what you did there.
Vehicle and pad criteria had to be met.
I see what you
and
did
thanks to
there.
the tireless work of the entire Starship team, we succeeded on that first attempt.
And while that all was happening, ship was continuing to coast towards the Indian Ocean.
Great shot from the Boeing out in the buoy out in the Indian Ocean.
Relit its engines, did that flip maneuver, relit its engines for landing burn, and then splashed down.
Oh, we actually got some additional camera footage here. How about
Now
that?
that whole flight test
20 minutes, chat. 20 minutes.
Down 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 40 seconds after launch.
Starship's
Nice.
5th flight test was one of our most ambitious yet, and as we work to demonstrate techniques,
And we're doing more
fundamental to
ambitious things
Starship
this flight,
and
chat.
Super Heavy's fully
The benchmark has been set, and we have to keep
And I think I
keep
speak for all
exceeding
of
those
us when I
benchmarks.
say that seeing the catch for the first time was an extraordinary moment.
Bowie
for the
might have been a
entire
Boeing.
SpaceX team. We've seen a lot
Yeah,
of
no
wild
kidding.
firsts here, but that was truly an epic moment in time.
Yeah, we're not forgetting that anytime soon. Certainly one in the history books. Now,
Nice.
today's mission profile is very similar to Flight 5, but there are some differences that we've incorporated as we prepare for future reuse. About 20 minutes from now, Super Heavy will ignite its 33 Raptor engines and lift off from Starbase. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the booster will separate from the ship in a hot stage separation, and we've seen that occur.
It's 19 minutes to go,
multiple
chat. 19
flights,
minutes.
including Flight 2, 3, 4, and 5.
So if I
About
recall
2 seconds
correctly,
after
pretty
that
much
burns,
everything for the
we'll
booster side is
jettison
about
that
the
hot
same,
stage.
minus
The
some
booster will
differences in
perform
timing.
its flip and boost back maneuver, and we will once again look to return the booster to the launch site for
Hey, look,
a catch
banana.
by the tower's
Banana,
chopstick
chat.
arms. And once again,
That
we're
banana was
rolling
not to
them
scale.
back if both the booster
That
and
is for
tower
sure.
are healthy after launch. We were successful last time, but we should emphasize that this process is still very new. And this is still just a test, so
They're gonna be doing an engine
success is
relight,
very far from guaranteed.
re-entry.
It's always a possibility that we'll lose the vehicle.
Man.
It's a contingency that we always plan.
SpaceX is really
Yeah,
ramping up their
Now, while the booster is doing
PR
its
again,
job,
huh?
The ship's 6 engines will remain lit for a few minutes before shutting down and then going into the coast phase. The ship will coast for a total of about 40 minutes or so, reaching a peak altitude of approximately 213 kilometers. Now, one additional objective for this flight during coast is an in-space burn using one of ship's Raptor engines. Doing a burn while in space will build confidence that we can do deorbit burns,
Yep.
which is a key capability for upcoming
Yeah, it's
orbital
kind of
missions.
necessary, you know,
After
for the
coast phase,
whole
the ship will attempt a controlled
flight safety
re-entry,
operations
and
when you have
if
something
ship
this
makes
big.
it all the way down, we'll once again perform a
Can you
flip
imagine
and
an
landing burn
uncontrolled
before
re-entry of
splashing
something
down
like
in the
Starship here?
In the
Ooh.
Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
This is
Now,
ship
there
32?
are
I
some
think it's ship
notable
32,
changes
yeah.
to our
Let me
engine plans
confirm
for
that.
this flight, and they will intentionally push the ship to, and very likely beyond its limits.
I think it's ship
This
32.
includes several thermal protection upgrades and operational changes as we prepare for future ship catch and reuse. Today's flight test will also test new secondary thermal protection
Yep.
materials and entire sections of the heat
I
shield.
built stuff for ship 32.
has actually been
Awesome.
removed in certain
Hell yeah.
areas. And on top of all of that, we're going to fly the ship at an aggressive angle of attack.
Aggressive.
once
Oh, no,
moving
this is
slower
ship
than the
31.
speed of sound.
This is ship 31,
Now, this
not
means
32.
we'll be flying
I actually thought this was
nose
32,
down instead of our
but it's
usual
31 and
belly flop
13.
orientation during final descent. This will no doubt stress the limits of
An
the
office
collapsibility
building
to
coming
maintain
down
control,
uncontrolled? Yeah,
but
exactly,
It will be a chance
exactly.
to get real flight data on what our limits actually are.
So, to put it as bluntly as possible, do not be surprised.
Yes,
if
exactly,
This is not
exactly.
a smooth flight to Splashdown today. We are intentionally looking for how far we can push and discover the vehicle's true limits.
You had parts
as
on
we
ships
plan for
28 through
future
33,
ship
nice.
Return and catch.
That's awesome.
And even though ship recovery is not expected today, the telemetry and data we receive all
Yep,
the
yep,
way
yep.
to the end.
So yeah, that's actually really important to notice. I did cover that when we first started the stream here. But yeah, so ship 31 is going to be, as far as I'm aware, the last Block 1, if you will, Starship flight. And although it doesn't have all of the changes to the thermal protection system that Flight Test 5 had, they have basically revamped some of the mechanical attachment points in the nose cone, as well as adding some filler in the forward flap area. And then, like she said, they also had a number of thermal protection system experiments going on this flight to basically test new materials, new tile geometry, and new ways to mount and things like that. Also important to note that I covered earlier is that noticeably, this Starship 31 here has a bunch of tile columns removed on the side here, and that's to make room for, in the future, recovery hold down points and things of that nature. Because as we all know, they very much want to reuse Starship and catch it back on the tower, especially for all those vehicles that are going to be used for refueling. So they're going to be adding additional catch pins similar to the booster here. And to do that, they have to make sure that there's not going to be any sort of thermal protection, tile impingement, and everything for all the recovery in the tower. And so they basically had to remove a number of tile columns, or columns of tiles, I should say, on the side of Starship to make room for the catch tower recovery operations. So they're also going to be testing that and making sure that it still survives, even with those Oh man, great shot. Even with those changes to the TPS design.
In the Gulf of Mexico.
I remember when we first
Man,
heard the call out.
like the render chat, right? I love the side-by-side render versus reality.
Wow,
that's crazy.
When I think about that moment. Now, for
Could
test,
Starship
like
hypothetically be refueled on the moon by using moon's resources to produce the fuel? Yeah.
As always,
Yes, they can.
no compromises
If
when it
they
comes to the
find
safety of
like
the public
water,
and our
or
team.
if they
And so to
find
that
other
end, the area around the pad and the
hydrocarbons
flight
and hydrogen
path
and
are
things like
cleared in
that,
advance.
yeah,
A lot of things
100%.
have to go right in order to line up
100% they
booster
can
catch.
start
So
working
if all criteria
towards
is met, we
manufacturing
will
that sort of
attempt
stuff.
to catch, but
You know, you can basically
there is
just
a
bring your
chance that we
own
may not.
carbon substance
Either way,
and
we'll be
set up
getting
a
tons of
carbon
in-flight
production
data, which is
facility.
extremely
If you have
valuable.
hydrogen there, if you have water,
That first
right?
catch was pretty epic, though. So, like you, we'll be keeping our hopes high.
You really
to
don't know
see
what the
another
render
one
was and the real thing? I know, it's
Now,
kind of
Dan,
crazy.
you got to see
There's
it in
methane on the
person
moon? No,
last
there's not
time.
methane.
Are you
There's definitely
mentally prepared
hydrogen
for a
and
possible round two?
potentially water. And if you can find enough hydrogen or water, then you can make your methane and oxygen, right? Because methane, all you need to bring up is your carbon substance or something to decompose into carbon atoms, and then you have water to make the hydrogen. So CH4 is readily available, and if you have water, then you can strip it, create your hydrogen, and you have your oxygen as well. So, but no, there's not just methane on the moon.
When it reaches you on the ground, that rapid change in pressure is that quick thunderclap
How cool is that, indeed?
that you hear. Now, generally, the only effect is that thunderclap sound, but if you're not expecting it, it's definitely going to get your attention. And we were
Listen
able
for the
to hear
shock,
it last
chat.
time. The impact of, or how loud it is, changes pretty dramatically. And in this video, you can see as we were descending.
That's so good. Did you see the shockwave on the ground, by the way, chat?
That quick triple
Please tell me you saw the
that you
shockwave on the
heard.
ground when they did
Now,
that.
was picked up
That was
closer to the
crazy.
pad. Most people at our distance and
Can I
further away,
rewind here real
you're
quick
only gonna
without
hear one or two as
killing
they're
everything?
kind of associated with
Oh, yes.
spacecraft.
Stand by, chat. I want to see that again. I'm pretty sure that was the shockwave actually disturbing the condensation on the ground.
Though we're about 85% full on ship, almost 2/3 of the way full.
Oh,
on.
did it not
It's only
rewind?
associated
Oh, it's not going to
distance and
rewind?
Further away, you're only going to hear one or two as they're happening kind of so on top of
Stand by,
each
chat.
other that it might just sound like one big bang. But as we're descending,
There we go.
thunderclap sound.
Okay, here we go. Finally.
Now, generally, the only effect is that thunderclap sound. But
Just
if
open
you're not
Taco
expecting it,
Bell
it's
and
definitely
stop
going to
it.
get your attention, and we were able to.
You love
hear
the
it last
crackling
time.
shockwaves? Yeah, the mic peaking.
impact of, or how
Watch
loud
the
it
ground
is
here on
changes
this
pretty
zoom out.
dramatically in this
See,
video.
look at
You
that.
can see as
Oh
we're
my
descending.
god, that's so good. Oh, did you
As
see
you
that?
may
The
think.
wave
In
on
fact,
the
we're
ground?
planning
Oh,
to
that
send
happened.
Starships to Mars
That's
as
really
soon as
cool.
2026.
That's the shockwave from
Which is
Booster
when the next Mars
disturbing the
transfer
air,
window opens,
and you can actually
which
see it in
is
the
102
condensation
years
on the
from now.
ground.
Now, you might be familiar with the Starlink logo, which you see there on your screen. It's an iconic representation of the Mars transfer orbit, also called the Hohmann transfer orbit. This transfer window,
Is this
or
the three-body
time
problem?
between the time when Earth and Mars are closest to each other, opens every 26 months and is only open for about 2 to 3 months at a time for a vehicle with Starship's power.
Lining up a launch to Mars is similar to how we launched to the International Space Station, where we timed the launches to match the station's orbit. If we didn't do this, we would need more propellant and more time.
What is it, like
to get
every
there.
26
So the
months?
first opportunity we have to fly
Or is it less than
Starships
2
to
years?
Mars,
It's
we
roughly every
plan
2
to go
years.
for it.
I don't remember if
These
it's slightly
first
less than
flight
2 years or
tests
slightly
to
more
Mars
than
will
2
be
years.
uncrewed, and we'll test the reliability of landing intact.
For-
If those
for a,
landings go well, the first crewed flights will soon follow after that.
Yeah.
Right now, our flight tests
For
are
an actual
focused on proving
window
out
to get to Mars.
usability of both Super Heavy and Starship. In 2025, we'll continue that focus while
26,
also
okay, thank you.
potentially flying our first Starlink missions and demonstrate capabilities central to our role in taking astronauts to the moon as part of NASA's Artemis program. Starship will be used to land astronauts on the lunar surface on NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which will put the first humans on the moon since 1972.
Nice.
One key capability will be the ability to refuel Starship on
Oh, that looks
orbit,
so
which you
good.
can
That's
see there on your
HLS.
screen, with a Starship prop tanker docked with a fuel depot.
Oh, it's a
Next year, we're
refueling
planning to
depot?
test this
I was thinking that was
capability,
HLS. It looks similar.
capability by launching 2 Starships and having them meet up to transfer tons of cryogenic propellants. Now, when the time comes to land on the moon,
There's
Starship
HLS.
will link up with NASA's Orion spacecraft.
See, like I
in
said,
lunar
looks kinda
orbit,
similar.
where astronauts will transfer
All
over
white.
for their descent. Now, once on the lunar surface, they'll ride the elevator down in their Axiom EMU.
You know, I know it's not necessarily like the biggest technology demonstration requirement. You know, it's not probably on the critical path, but I still want to see hardware for this right here. The elevator that is required for astronauts to get down onto the surface of the moon. You know, like HLS is technically only a couple years away, so to speak. I haven't seen any test hardware like that. I mean, I know Starship is on the critical path. This thing right here has to work first, but I am very interested to see how the elevator works, operates, and what sort of redundancy mechanisms they have in case, you know, because they have to get down on the surface of the moon. Otherwise, it's a null and void mission. So
limits now during testing than later on when there's more on the line.
And to reiterate, while we
I don't think they could just drop from, you know, 40 meters high.
An acceptable level of technical risk on our vehicle.
Exactly, that's what I want to know. Manual crank for a backup and whatnot.
No compromises when it comes to the
or is it just going to have a ladder as well?
So all that to say, this is
Rope,
only
yeah.
the 6th of many future flight tests of Starship before it becomes fully
Like I said, it's not necessarily a
And we tend to
difficult
do our
problem to
testing
solve, but it
out
is a
in the
problem to
open,
solve.
just like today. And that means people sometimes see when our hardware doesn't perform as we planned during that testing. And that's okay, because this is exactly what we are testing for. To
See a little
if
vent right
hardware
there
performance matches
going
what
off.
we expect it to do or not. Even more with today's test flight, where we're purposefully pushing the ship.
Looks like
beyond
these
its
are some of the
Starship
tiles that they're
development is
using
also
for
being
testing as
aided
well.
by Starlink space-based connectivity.
Either that,
You might
or
remember
is that
the
where
Starlink
they
panels that are
have the
incorporated
communication
into
systems
Starship.
on the
You
back
can
and they're
see
covering
there
them with
on your
tiles? It might be
screen is
that.
rectangular panels on Starship's nose
Oh,
cone.
there you go.
Starlink brings us the epic views in space and on re-entry, and also helps deliver us critical flight data engineers need to
Starlink.
continue development.
Yeah, Starlink continues to help us push the limits in space in the short term by providing
Thought there's
great
some,
views and
test
real-time
tiles.
data on our next few flights, particularly through re-entry, which spaceflight veterans know that is historically a
Being the
period
drone
of
operator for these
blackout
flights would
for
be
all
amazing. You're not
communications
wrong.
within spaceflight.
You're not wrong at all.
Outside of Starship, Starlink has helped people
All right, 8 minutes
across
chat. Here we
the
go.
globe, particularly in rural and remote areas that have been underserved by traditional broadband internet.
Yeah, and soon.
All right, for that,
Starship
I
will
think we can go
deploy
ahead and
our
turn off the launch
next-generation Starlink
countdown.
Satellites, which will
I'm probably
continue
going to have to move
increase our
myself a
capability
little
to
bit
connect
so that way
even
you
more
guys can see the
people with
telemetry.
high-speed internet all around the world and
So
beyond.
you come
Now,
slightly
as we
this
continue to
way.
prepare for our next several
And I'll
flight
move if
tests,
I have
we
to.
recently performed a cryo-proof test.
Can't
of
believe
the
this is
Starship
happening again.
for
I know,
Flight
right?
7,
And only like
our
a
first
36-day
operation of the
turnaround or
vehicle,
something like
debuting
that.
A number of major milestones. The ship has been stretched to make room
Look
for
at that,
larger
chat.
propellant tanks,
That's the bigger version.
the
Oh
propellant
my
capacity
God.
from
That's
1,200
noticeably
tons
larger.
to 1,500 tons. The forward flaps also got a redesign. They
Yep.
have shrunk in size and they also shifted in location. And both of these things will help better protect them during entry heating.
Nice. You
while
can
still
see the,
providing control. There's also a wide range of upgrades that will
the
make the
deployer.
vehicle more reliable.
You can see the
adding
deployer door
redundancy
for
to-
for
and the ability
Starlink.
to operate for
Hey, what's up,
longer
floating
durations
disc? How are
in
you?
space.
One unique aspect of a trip to Mars are the different conditions ship will see when entering the
And
Mars
actually, is that going to be something on subsequent flights? Because I was definitely under the impression. Ooh.
ring on Earth. So we've been
Nice.
testing a variety of heat
That's
shield
how you
materials
test heat
inside
shield.
a specialized
That's
plasma
how you
jet
do it,
chamber
chat.
at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, where we're able to more closely simulate Mars's 95% carbon dioxide atmosphere.
Aside
Nice.
from looking awesome,
That's
this
awesome.
is important
That is
testing.
awesome.
The intense heat of entry will cause the CO2 to break down into its base elements, exposing Starship to atomic oxygen,
Atomic
which
oxygen is
increases
so
surface
bad.
heating and can cause materials to oxidize or
Yep.
start to break down. Spacecraft entering over Mars encountered more than twice the amount of atomic oxygen
Yeah.
at their peak when compared to Earth. And that is certainly a unique challenge.
Yep.
As we
That's
continue
crazy.
to test, we'll learn
That's
more
crazy.
about what makes a great heat shield for Mars.
Material science
All right,
and
now we're
aerospace
heading
engineering
into the final minutes
is
of the
wild.
countdown. Let's go back to Dan for the latest on the ground there at Starbucks.
So we should be close to propellant
Hey,
load.
Kate, afraid I have nothing but good news for
Awesome.
you. We have
Awesome.
go
Good news
from
is
our range
awesome.
safety team. We are a little over 90% full on ship.
Yeah,
almost
corrosive
85%
oxidization,
full on
and then
booster,
it will
and
also
not tracking
pit
any
your
holds to an
materials.
on-time liftoff.
Yeah.
So we've got about 3 more minutes of prop load. As long as the range stays clear, we don't trip any other holds, we might blow right past that T-minus 40-second mark and lift off right at the top of our window.
Hell
at
yeah.
4
There we go,
PM
chat.
Central.
So we are 5 minutes away from a flight.
One more time, but fun part about to start, we are, what, a little under 6 minutes away from launch.
Awesome.
All right, so we are continuing to progress now at 5.
But yeah, what I was saying earlier is that I wonder if that's going to happen on subsequent flights, because I was definitely under the impression that Starship Block 2 would actually have no forward flaps. I think Elon may have mentioned something like that in a interview somewhere, but I don't know if that's going to be like a definitive thing or if that was just something that the SpaceX was looking at. But so far, it looks like the first Flight 7 Block 2 variant of Starship will continue to have forward flaps, just redesigned smaller and things like that.
Minus 40 seconds, and then hold there to assess what happened and if we can proceed again.
I know, right? Whatever.
Exactly.
True.
However, once the water for the deflector system begins flowing at T-minus 10
Hence O2
seconds,
and H2O, yeah.
any issue
Well,
after
so
that would
it's
be an
a
automatic
multiple
scrub to the
stage process that sucks when it comes to atomic oxygen, right? Because atomic oxygen, being a single oxygen atom, essentially wants to oxidize and bind with other materials it comes into contact with, and then once it does that and then weakens that material, that same oxygen will actually start corroding, literally pitting, right, when it slams into that already corroded and oxidized element, and it will actually create holes in your system, very, very tiny, little holes. Over time it becomes a big problem.
Out here, so very exciting to have an afternoon.
Yep, it's stripping other atoms off, indeed.
Here.
Exactly. Now, just as a reminder, that T-minus 40-second hold, if we opt to use it,
yeah, chemically and
everything
physically.
is still potentially go for
Chemically
launch.
and
so
physically.
nothing to be worried
Oof.
about there. At that point, basically, up until T-minus 40 seconds, all
Weather
the
is
boards
go,
were
range
just
is green,
holds.
vehicle
This
is
would allow
go.
the team
We
to
are
wait for final
97%
checkouts to
filled
assess
on
propellant
the
levels,
Starship and
engines, avionics,
90%
vehicle
on
pressurization,
booster.
range,
We should only
weather.
be about a minute and a
Occasionally
half to
we've had
2
shrimp boats
minutes before
lingering in the
closeout,
past,
prop closeout.
but that doesn't sound like that is the case
So
today.
I guess we're not going to be
today, no
necessarily
shrimp boats,
launching
which is
at
great.
100%,
Everything so far is
but
looking good.
doesn't mean we
We're
have
getting
to.
really excited here, just a few minutes away. We're going to go back, send it over to Dan in Starbase. How's it going, Dan?
Oh, it's a pretty day, chat, on the
It is
coast.
Still going great. Just coming up on about 3.5
Absolutely,
minutes
Merilith,
away,
absolutely.
So we should be done with our prop load on ship momentarily.
Nice.
And about 30 seconds later, we'll close out on booster. Our flight control team on board or in the building just
All right,
behind
here we
me,
go.
not on board. Some of them might wish they were on
3.5
board.
minutes.
Flight control team in the building
Flight
behind me,
test
they're going to
6.
have a lot of work to do right after we lift off. As we still have
2.1 million views on
the
X right now.
tower
How about that?
Prior to the flight director, who's going to be Tristan Pierce again today, giving a manual command to
Let's see
bring
if I
the booster
go
back
slightly
to
zoomed
the launch
in.
site.
You'll still
And
see
we
stuff.
have- the tower did
No, you
just
cannot. Okay.
incredibly well on the last flight. We didn't lose any of our required redundancy for a catch.
Yep,
So
a
we're
little
hoping to
humid
see that
there.
again
Keep
today.
creating a lot of
A lot
condensation.
of the team,
Don't
really
you
putting armor on the tower,
start
making all those
X.
things
Let me
work,
tell you what.
played a huge role in making that catch possible, and looking forward to hopefully.
So this
seeing
is
that
inside the
happen
payload
again.
bay, I suppose.
And of course, sending our first payload to space.
A banana
See
for
the
payload.
banana, it's
That's why, chat. There
Very
you go.
tightly secured, but
Hey, what's up, Bobo? How are you?
Some room to float around. So once
How do they
we're
keep the Starship
in a
stable
zero
through
gravity
the
environment,
ascent
we should
with thrust vectoring?
see
Yep, 100%
our
with thrust
first Starship
vectoring. Yeah.
zero gravity
Yes,
indicator
indeed.
Putting on a little bit of a show. And that's
Yeah, the
looking right
Raptors
in.
have
That's where
some
we're gonna
pretty
have
insane
Starlink
gimbal
as our
capabilities.
PEZ deployer. So
It's
getting its
needed
ride to
because
space. So
Booster actually then
coming up on
lands.
about
If you remember
2.5
seeing the
minutes, we
landing
are
video,
closing out on all of our prop
the
load.
vector of the
Yep, just
exhaust
heard that our
plume
fuel
was
drains are starting
was
to
moving
close. That
around
means
quite
we're
a
no
bit.
longer gonna be flowing
Yeah, all
propellant
that thrust
into
helps
the
keep
booster
it,
and the ship. We're going to do
keep it
what's
stable.
called pushbacks. So all of that propellant in the ground systems is going to get pushed back to the tanks.
Hope X doesn't
clear
Tyson out this
everything
stream.
around
That's
the
that's
pad,
what I'm saying.
right before we light those 33 engines and take
Definitely a
off.
little bit windy on the coast there.
Just
You can tell.
Quick reminder: you're
Not
gonna
only
see
from
fire
the
start at the bottom, you're gonna see the
condensation being
deflector start
blown
about
way
10
off the
seconds
pad, but
before
pretty
launch.
choppy out there too
Lots
on
of
the
water to help
water.
dissipate all that heat, all that sound.
Excited
And
to
then the
catch
engine
another,
starting
yeah,
up in 3
another
different groups.
skyscraper is what
And
we're
then
going to be
about a
catching
second
here.
After T0,
100%.
we should see liftoff. About 2.5 minutes into the flight, a little bit longer, we'll see hot staging, and that's when we're going to be listening really close.
Ah,
on
man,
those
this
loops
drone
to see if
coverage.
we're
I'm
gonna be
so
bringing the
happy that
booster back
SpaceX
for a
is
catch today.
really
Do
invested
always
in their
wanna
PR.
caution, it's never a guarantee. We've done this once. we'll see.
So
if
watch for the closeout, chat.
Only going to do it.
Should have basically already happened. It looks like the lines are starting to kind of taper out.
Bring it back here. But coming up on a minute, not tracking any holds.
Awesome.
On the board
We are
right
go
now.
chat.
So as long as we don't have any last second things, which do happen.
What's also interesting, Juan, is SpaceX Starship actually flies wings going sideways. It basically does this, also to help with the loads on the vehicle and making sure that those flaps, wings don't
Key moment to look at in 10
provide
seconds,
any
that T-40.
destabilizing force, potentially. Extra lift on the top of your vehicle, right, is very bad. So they also fly sideways going into orbit for Starship.
Flew right through that.
33 seconds, chat. Here we go. Here we go. You stayed home for this one, so it's weird if my apartment actually shakes. There you go.
All right, we're now T-minus 20 seconds until liftoff of Starship Flight 6. This
Come
will mark our
on, baby.
second attempt
There's the
to catch
closeout.
the
Still
Super Heavy
venting a
booster
little bit.
at the launch tower,
10 seconds.
as well as
Watch for the rain, the water. There it goes. I was about to say the rain burbs.
2.
There it goes, engine ignition. First stage. Ramp up to full thrust. Look at the shock waves. Shock waves, you can clearly see the shock waves going through the plume there. Oh, and we're away, chat. Flight test 6 underway, looking nominal on takeoff. We have 33 by 33 engines. All engines on the first stage looking good.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Already pitching downrange here. It's already done its roll program. There it goes, rolling. Oh, yes. Happy, happy day, chat. It's a good launch day. 33 engines looking good.
Booster and ship, avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
Woo, that's looking clean. Altitude 6 kilometers, already traveling 1,000 kilometers an hour. Should be passing max Q here in the next 30 seconds or so.
Vehicle
All right,
has
we're
reached
just a little over a minute
maximum
into flight.
dynamic pressure.
Maximum dynamic pressure, there it is.
6 miles away, so all the sound's still hitting us here. Hearing good call outs that power telemetry.
All engines good.
Flying straight and true. We do see
13 kilometers
all 33
altitude.
Raptor engines lit up on telemetry screens. At this point, we've passed through that point of
Nice.
maximum aerodynamic pressure. That max
Very
Q.
good. The mock diamonds
Coming
indeed.
up in
Now you're
just
starting to see
a little over a
expanded
minute from
plume
now is gonna
as
be
the
hot
gases,
staging.
as soon
So
as
we're
they
gonna
leave the
see
rocket engine, start
the
expanding
6
everywhere.
engines on the
It's called
ship
under
ignite
expanded
while
plume.
Still attached to the booster. Just before that, we'll see
Vehicles
all
continuing
but
to pitch
3
down
center
range,
engines
looking
on the
great.
Booster shut down. And
All but 3 will
we
shut
call
down during
MECO
hot
most
staging.
Engines cut off instead of main engine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you got the
And so
banana,
while
nice
we
one.
continue to watch it go up. A lot
Oh,
of
that's
flight
so good.
controllers looking at all the systems around the tower. Again, we have to send
Nice.
a manual command.
Yep. I said that earlier. For the booster to do a catch tower attempt,
30
flight director has to
seconds
send
away
a
from hot
go
staging.
for catch manual command to booster for it to execute. Still looking good. All engines nominal. Super stable. Stand by for hot staging here. I think the next 30 seconds or so.
And we heard the tower is go for catch.
Awesome.
Cut off.
There it
The
goes.
return flag is set
There's
for
hot
true.
staging. Shut down on all but the center engines, and we have engine ignition on Starship. 6x6 on Starship. Boosters turning around. We have good engine ignition on the
All
boost
right,
back
hot
burn.
staging confirmed.
All
6
engines on
6
boost
lit
back.
on the ship. Boost back going.
Nice.
We heard that we are go for catch.
Nice.
Kate Jesse taking
We're
the
go.
views. Hopefully I got a booster
Go for the catch.
coming home real soon.
wow, from our
So they
view
already
here,
sent the
Dan,
go command.
Great views of planet Earth behind that super heavy booster. Right now it is performing the
Ship
boost
dynamic
back
pressure
burn.
nominal.
We
Good
have
news
what,
there, telling us
13?
that
Is it 13 engines on the boost back?
pressures inside the ship are good. That is the second stage or the upper portion of the vehicle. Follow along with the telemetry on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, booster is currently super heavy. Is currently
so many
in
trucks of
its
fuel
boost
go
back
poof
burn.
in
This
3
boost
minutes.
back
Yeah,
burn-
no kidding. Like 600
this
delivery
boost back
trucks
burn
of
lasts
fuel
just a
gone.
little bit over a minute. So we've got a little.
The G's on super heavy,
approximately
yeah.
30 seconds left.
All right, we have good boost back burn shutdown.
Shutdown of that
Starship
boost
is
back
continuing
burn.
on its
Up
way.
next will be hot stage jettison.
Hot staging ring is already jettisoned. You can see it right there.
On the left, or from the booster on the left-hand side.
That's
of
the
your
hot staging
screen,
ring already
and then
separating.
Tracking cam there on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll see those. grid
There it
fins.
is. Oh, great shot.
And we
Wow.
can
Oh,
also
I love that.
see that the,
So they
hot
jettisoned
stage
this in
has-
order to, this thing is a massive structural piece. So it's basically nothing but steel. And it's at the very, very top of the rocket, which is now essentially empty, right? Except for the last little bit of propellant that it needs to actually do the landing burn. So when you have all that mass at the very top, they actually experienced this during flight test 4? Was it 4 or was it 3? Where they didn't jettison the hot staging ring, and it actually made booster unstable during entry, and it actually tore off during, or partially tore off during its re-entry profile on flight test 3 or 4, I think. So they now jettison it. This is only temporary. In the future, the next generation of booster will have a fully integrated stack and a redesign for that system. But for now, they jettison it because it's just too heavy.
And unfortunately, we did not have a
It should
pass
take a lot
on
of fuel to
those
land it back
commitment
the
materials.
booster.
We're
It
gonna go
takes,
for
I don't know,
tower catch.
7%
And we
of
did
fuel,
mention
I
that
guess,
we're
if I had to put a
constantly
percentage range on it.
evaluating the criteria for catch.
I mean,
There's
here
a
you can
lot
see
of
it
things that
actually,
need to go
maybe even
well
less
in
than
order
that.
to line that up.
This is the
Unfortunately,
remaining
today we
scale
won't
of
forego
liquid
booster
oxygen and
catch
liquid methane.
today,
Can you
but
see that on
what
the
you're
screen?
seeing on
Yeah.
your screen is
This
ship,
one right here.
currently making its
So
way
it
towards
has
the Indian
5%
Ocean, still
fuel,
looking
if
good
that, you know,
so
it has a
far.
very small amount of fuel remaining for the
So
landing.
views there of the booster on the left-hand side of your
All right,
screen,
chat, here we
using
go
the
for
ship
catch
on the right-hand
attempt.
side of your screen.
Ship is above
We
100
said
kilometers,
before
means
that
my
it was
harnesses
not
are in space.
guaranteed
That's
that
awesome.
We would be able to make
Hell yeah.
a tower catch today. So while we were hoping
Starship
for it,
is
like
looking
we
good,
said,
still
it was
6
pretty
by
epic on
6.
attempt 1, but the safety
About
of the
halfway
teams and
to
the public and,
orbital
and
velocity,
the
not
pad
quite
itself
halfway. It's got to
are,
hit around
paramount. So we are
what is it,
accepting no
13,000
compromises
kilometers
in
an
any of
hour to
those
be
areas.
approximately the halfway
Exactly,
point.
and we're still going to get a lot of good
Yeah,
flight data
yeah, intense.
with booster even, but especially with ship. Again, we have an additional objective today to do an in.
So they're going to be doing a water landing, it
Raptor
seems.
engine, which again will help us set us up for being able to do deorbit burns, which is
Ship chamber pressure is nominal.
which.
So they're going to be doing a
which is
soft water
important
landing
for
attempt.
Orbital flights, and what you're seeing on your screen is a view from Super Heavy as it's making its way back down to Earth.
It's pretty stable during the
once
entry,
again,
though.
we are attempting
Ooh,
an
that looks good.
offshore landing of the Super Heavy booster. So we have seen
Nope,
this
no catch
before,
attempt. They were a go,
and it
but they
is
didn't like
still
something that they
very
saw.
fun to watching it come down for a soft splashdown.
From your
off
lousy booster
the
landings,
Gulf
Juan? Yeah,
Coast
I
of
understand.
Texas. We can
All
see
right,
it there
there's going through
re-entering.
transonic.
We saw
It's now
earlier those
subsonic.
grid fins. There are 4 hypersonic.
There's
grids there.
entry
You can see
or
that the
landing burn.
has begun on the Super Heavy booster.
Nice. Come on, baby.
Same
Nice
pattern,
soft water
13
landing.
engines will
We
light.
have 3x3 on
Gone
the
down to
engines.
3, just as we expected.
Ooh, straighten up, straighten up.
And what
Oh,
an incredible view of
yeah.
the splashdown that we
Nice.
got today.
And it's
Oh,
good.
Super Heavy.
And
Yeah,
now there it goes,
I'm sure
chat.
The Boomy Cam views will be pretty
No,
awesome
come
once again.
on.
So we'd like to confirm a water landing once again for the Super Heavy booster.
Yep.
Congrats to the SpaceX team.
Damn, man. I was really
for
hoping that we'd get
making
the
that milestone
actual catch.
as well.
But fair
Now,
enough.
ship
Another day,
continues to
chat.
look
Another day.
good. We can see that it is, while all of that was happening,
They saw something they liked, the crowd.
Here in Hawthorne, continuing to react to all these amazing views that we're getting.
What happened with the tower? I don't know. They didn't like something they got. NSF got it. We'll watch that on the playback when they do start coasting. Yeah.
Starship terminal guidance, referring to what we see here on our screen.
How much
the upper
structural
stage,
damage do they get on splash
at,
versus catch?
about
Probably a fair
8
amount, right?
minutes,
Because
35
ideally, the
seconds or
catch
so,
tower,
we
you have ooh, great
ship
shot from the
cutoff,
engine
which would
section
be the cutoff
on Starship.
of
There's the Raptor
the
engines, the
Raptor
Vactors,
engines.
the vacuum optimized systems. And we have good shutdown of the 3 Vactors.
We can see on our
And
screen
we should be waiting
giving
for
us some
shutdown
incredible
on
views
the sea
brought
level
to us
optimized
by
Raptors.
Starlink. This view is also very interesting because we can see basically the receding
Soon.
tile line that we referred to earlier, where we mentioned we have removed
What happened to the tower?
a
Yeah, I'm not
number
sure.
of heat shield
They
tiles
didn't
in
like
order
something
to
that they
test
saw.
out and push the envelope
Earth view,
on the
isn't it
ship
great?
and demonstrate what its capabilities are.
Ship engine
There it
cut off.
goes. Ship engine shutdown.
And there we just heard call out for Seco.
Oh,
ship
and there
engine
goes the
cutoff.
flaps. Flaps are now free.
Great news there. Everything continuing to
Awesome.
awesome for ship.
But yeah, I don't know what happened to the tower that they
Looking
didn't like,
aft on ship here.
or if it was something from the booster that they didn't like. But I think it was something from the tower that they would have called.
Nominal orbit insertion.
Nice.
There's that call
There you
out we were
go.
waiting for.
Good shutdown.
Confirmation of
Good coast
orbital insertion
trajectory.
for ship today.
All right.
It has been a
It
very
did look good coming down, yeah.
afternoon so far. We'd like to send it back over to Dan, who can give us that live view experience. Dan, once again, are you okay after witnessing another Starship launch?
Oh, great shot though, chat.
Totally fine. It's you guys have to be jealous. This is the only way to do this. This is fantastic. No, it was really cool to see a liftoff. 33 out of 33.
What'd I
didn't
say?
go for
33
booster
by
catch today.
33.
Initially, we were good, and then we tripped a commit criteria
Damn.
and did the offshore divert. So we went and did that water landing, as everybody saw.
So I
We'll
wonder
dig
if
into it
their
a little bit more,
landing criteria that they
but
tripped
again,
was
this
on the
is-
booster.
We've done it once. We've now done it twice. We're
Kind
going
of
to
interesting.
keep trying to do it. As this is
Not
just
sure.
a core capability of Starship and what's
Yeah,
gonna make
yeah,
it so
Toaster, fair
incredible.
enough.
There's a lot left.
Yeah,
We're
this is the
just
tower.
about
This is
almost 10
you
minutes
can actually
into
see
this
it right
flight.
here.
So about 50
On
plus
flight
minutes still
test.
to
No,
go.
come back.
Ship,
Okay.
nominal orbit, so
On
it's
that
its way
previous
around the planet.
camera angle
It's
that we
gonna
saw,
attempt to do
those
an
tiles came all the way
in-space
up
burn. We're
the
gonna
side
light
to
one
like
of
the
those
halfway
Raptor
point.
engines,
They've
the
actually
sea level
taken
ones
like
in the
4 or
middle,
5
just to
columns
help
of tiles
demonstrate that we
out,
can
and
relay
now it's
in
only
that
on like the
microgravity
bottom like
environment. Really
third or so.
critical for deorbit burns as we start to
Looked a
do
bit low on the
some
locks. They
orbital
did,
missions,
but they do
in the
they do that
not-too-distant
they did that on
future.
the flight test
And then
5 too.
following that, we'll see a
Like
ship
LOX and
entry,
methane don't
maybe a
actually get up to
splashdown. As you guys
100%
said, we're
on
really gonna be
booster.
pushing ship on this one. We're pretty much intentionally putting it in places where we expect it might not do so great, and all that's to try and help us learn, see if we were a little too conservative, and then maybe that opens up more capability for when we start catching them. But I'll check back in with everybody in a little bit. I'm going to tune in and watch the ship fly around planet Earth, and hopefully we see it re-entering in the not too
Awesome.
distant future. Back
All
over
right, so
to
we
you
have
guys.
a coast period now. I think of like 20 minutes before they do their in-flight reignition. It might even be longer than that. Let's go back to NSF and see what sort of views we have of NSF. Oh, there we go. Okay, so NSF again. If you guys are not following or do not know about NASA spaceflight, definitely give them a follow and a look-see. They give us 24/7 coverage of Starbase and basically all of the SpaceX facilities, like McGregor, Texas, for their engine testing, and Cape Canaveral for watching the drone ships and recovery operations go in and out of Cape Canaveral. They give us all sorts of views like that. But let's see from Liftoff what we got. So again, this is from NSF. Oops, wrong one.
The mission's not over. Ship is still coasting, but it has been nonstop since liftoff, and with the
And I
booster
want
having completed
to
its job for the
mute
day.
you for a second. So we can see this. 6 seconds. There's the pad deluge system. Ignition. Ooh, yeah. They have some pretty close mics and camera systems. I don't know which angle to watch, chat. All right, wow, that was insane. That was a great sound. Anyways, let me scroll back here so we can watch that. I saw a few things that I wanted to point out here. So we'll go all the way forward to launch here. So again, this is from NASA spaceflight coverage here at Starbase. You can even see the shockwaves on the bottom of the camera. That's what I want to show off. Yeah, you can see the actual shockwaves coming off of the engines as it's impinging on the plume, impinging on the atmosphere and everything. Oh, come on. Really? Why you gotta be like this? Come on, YouTubes. Be better. Thank you. All right, let's go back. What is going on with the YouTubes? It's like it doesn't want you to see the actual coverage. No, it's actually doing it at the coverage point. There we go. 30 seconds. Interesting. Time to change? It does, yeah, right? That was a great sound from NASA Spaceflight, no doubt. What would be like every Google stuff? That's fair. It's interesting. It's actually right at the launch point. It doesn't want you to see it at all. Oh, while that loads, what do you want? What do you want, huh? Come up. There you go. You want to say hi to chat? Is that what you want? You want to say hi to chat? This is Darby. He watches Spaceflight too. What do you want? You're so needy. Man, they really just don't want you to watch the Spaceflight. Why did they keep the sea level Raptors burning longer than the vacuum optimized ones? Starship is already in space. So I guess they do that because they want to lower the thrust to weight ratio so they can get a little bit better pinpoint accurate orbital insertion. I can only imagine that that's why. They don't need the 6 Raptors going at that point since they're already at, 99% orbital velocity. And you also have to remember that the sea level optimized Raptors, the ones in the center, right, the 3 in the center, are the only ones that can gimbal. The vacuum optimized ones, the big ones, are not able to gimbal. So if you need any engines on, you need those engines on so that way you can actually maneuver the system during terminal guidance, what's known as terminal guidance, right, for the final very accurate orbital insertion. So I can only imagine that's the reason why. Good doggo, indeed. Fuel infrastructure actually looks really close to the pad. Surprised it's not damaged. Yeah, they've done that forever. It is actually pretty close, especially when you look at other facilities like Cape Canaveral and whatnot. I think they do that because, technically speaking, the room or the overall Boca Chica pad that they have there is not large, right? They're right next to the water sanctuary, the animal sanctuary that's right there. They're basically operating in a place that is a sanctuary for different wildlife. So they only have so big of a plot of land that they can build on. And yeah, they don't actually have a lot of land there. So I can only imagine that that's why it's so close together, is that they need very large tank structures. And you either that or you need a lot of small ones in order to have the 3,000 metric tons that's required for Starship Super Heavy. Man, I can't not believe that this is not going. Oh well. Like why? Why you do this? I have to reload it. Poor wildlife. They have to survive these launches. I know, right? Come on, thank you. Now, can we go back just a little ways before launch? All right, that's 20 seconds. I'm going to hit it one time. There we go. We're going to just watch it from here. So this again is the NASA Spaceflight team's coverage here from Boca Chica. They also do a live stream with commentary, but this is their 24/7 Starbase coverage. I'm going to turn it down. We already heard the fantastic shots here, but I'm going to be talking over this. So first things first, look at the camera here. You can actually see the shock waves coming off of the engines, disrupting the cloud of dust and water particles here. And then as it actually ascends, I think it's in this picture that we'll see it. Or it might be this picture, yeah. As it ascends, you'll see the same effect coming off of the plume down here as it's impacting different parts of the atmosphere. See that? Those are all shock waves, basically vibrations, noise coming from the plume as it's going through the atmosphere, which is pretty crazy to see. Great shot here from NSF. Must be Netflix. Must be, yeah. Define control, yeah, that's what I would think it would have to be. So Will they set up the rendezvous with the smaller Raptors, then use the RCS? Yeah, I can only imagine so, Dave. Yeah. I can only imagine so. It kind of depends, I guess, on how big the maneuver is required, because the whole reason why they have the vacuum optimized Raptors is to improve the overall performance of Starship. Why? Because it actually operates in a vacuum of space, and so having those larger nozzles improves your specific impulse or your miles per gallon for a rocket, right? So depending on how big of like a maneuver they have to do, then they might turn on the vacuum optimized Raptors, but I can only imagine if they ever do, they would also turn on the sea level optimized Raptors, because those are capable of gimbaling. Yeah, because unlike Kerbal Space Program, RCS in real life is powerful, but it's not that powerful. it's not that powerful. Like what we have in Kerbal Space Program, being able just to, floor, fully open your valves and just be able to control your vehicle with no gimbal and just move it around. Like, that's not exactly how things work in real space flight. Things are more deliberate and much more slow. You mean liters per kilometer? Yeah, something like that. It's a great shot here. So I really want to see from NSF the actual landing now. I'm so afraid to fast forward here. So I'm looking at the tower here up here. It doesn't look like those catch arms have moved. I don't know when exactly they are expected to move into their catch attempt. I also just started watching that, so if they did move, then correct me, but I'm not entirely sure they did move too much. All right, there is hot staging and separation. Booster's now turning around. Great shots from the ground, chat. Oh man, look at that. That's awesome. So there's Booster. Starship was at the lower one. There it is. So I think that's Starship and that's Booster in this camera. Nice. So yeah, I'm still not seeing the catch arms actually move on the tower here. Yeah, I wonder if it was a catch tower problem. Can we assume that ISS has pretty ridiculous miles per gallon metric? The ISS, sure, because all it uses is the RCS to maintain some stability, as well as their control moment gyros. Oh, wait, there it goes. So they did move. They moved wider, and they're shut down though. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what would have caused the deliberate divert. Most things are OP in Kerbal. That's true. They are. They certainly are. So yeah, Booster is now falling. It's at this point that we heard the call out for a soft water landing attempt. And as you can see, the catch arms did in fact move. I'm not sure if they moved into like a just an idle state, or if they actually moved as if they were going to catch it. I guess if they move during the water landing test, they will actually be testing it during a landing configuration on the tower, but we'll see. Do we get to see the kaboom? We'll have to see, yeah. Fuel level too low? It definitely could have been. It's always been interesting to me that, yeah, they launch when, they launch with a disparity between LOX and methane in terms of overall fill levels. Like if you've noticed on flight test 4, 5, and now 6, like LOX seems to only be at like 92% full, whatever that means in terms of the SpaceX telemetry. And then methane's at like 96 or 97% full on liftoff. So it's definitely never at 100%. I don't know what, again, constitutes 100% for SpaceX's telemetry. If you would ever actually even get 100% because of boil off. But yeah, it's always been odd to me a little bit that they do launch it not, say, at 96 or 97%. But maybe we'll get some clarifying remarks on that in the future. Booster is falling here now, which is great. It's looking great from these shots. I'm really glad that NSF does this, because now we can actually see what we didn't get to see from SpaceX Live official. That burn back maneuver seemed longer. They were going to do longer, I believe a longer boost back burn, if I'm not mistaken. The trajectory was nearly the same, but they had different timings on things to improve, I guess, certain metrics on the performance of booster during the landing. All right, find it again. There you go. Up, up, up. Keep it, keep it, keep it. I'm looking at the other cameras too to see. That one camera's lost it. We'll probably pick it back up during landing. Is it DOS that actually controls these? I know he sometimes does control them, but I wonder if this was DOS controlling these. Still waiting for the landing here. Oh, there it goes. So we don't see it in that camera, and we got it for a split second in the other one. Oh, come on. What happened? So we did see it there for a split second. Are they going to try to zoom in? Oh, there's the explosion, chat. There's the explosion. So yes, it did in fact explode. How about that? Whether because of FTS, flight termination system, or if it tipped over and ruptured, probably FTS. That looked like a pretty big mushroom cloud for it to just have been a tip over and rupture. That right arm did stumble when moving into catch position, did it? Interesting. Yeah, it could have definitely been a tower problem. Does that mean it's not coming on then? Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool that we got to see it from NSF. I love how the camera zoomed in right on cue. Like it zoomed in, right blur, and then explosion. I don't know. It seemed way too delayed in timing, because like there seemed to have been like a good, what, 10-15 seconds after we saw it already basically hovering over the water. Like if I can go back without YouTube dying on me, because we got it for a split second in one of the videos here, didn't we? And let's look at the time difference here. Up, see, right there, and it's like right above the water. And so that was at 42. And let's see what happened, how long it takes for it to then explode. So that's 10 seconds since we saw it. They got another better view. All right, and so that's almost 20 seconds right there. Do you have a link to that one, Misadventure, that you're talking about? I didn't expect it to be a mushroom cloud at this scale. Yeah, I know, right? I'm pretty sure it's because of flight termination system activation to make such a big mushroom cloud, but I'm not sure. I'd like confirmation on that. For a mushroom cloud like that, that's quite the explosion, right? SpaceX satisfied almost everyone. Thing launched, flew, and then landed, and then produced fireworks. That's true. That is true. But yeah, great shots from NSF. Let's see what the actual flight's doing. Hey, we have our banana in space, chat. It's now a frozen banana. 26 minutes into flight, and everything has been looking pretty great so far. Unfortunately, we did not get the landing attempt on the catch tower, but such is life, I suppose. Such is life. But we are now back at it, 27 minutes into flight. I think another 10 minutes-ish before they start do their in-orbit burn, their maneuver. They're in orbit, or I should say they're in space maneuver. They're not technically in orbit, they're suborbital. But that should be happening here momentarily. But Def NSF, fair enough, fair enough. So was it on their live stream cast? Do they have a different view? A different camera per se? Yeah, since we're still chilling here, we can definitely take another stab at another NSF NASA Spaceflight here. So it would have been probably from this one then. Hey, merch, get your merch, chat. I have my merch on, so. All right, so there's that. So there's booster on its return. Oh yeah, they did get it, right? Nice. They did get it all the way down on this channel. I wonder why they don't have this view on the other channel. T plus 40 minutes. Yep. Sounds good. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know with an update from SpaceX official where the problem went on executing the catch arm attempt. That would certainly be good to know. Nice track on this camera though, yeah. That's where they were going to resume commentary. Yeah, gotcha. There's engine ignition. Ah, great shot from this angle, yeah. That's really nice. Tease it. That's at 6:49. It's in the water, so another 10 seconds and it's supposed to explode. So yeah, it may have been from hitting the water. Let's see. There's... Ah. I guess so. Nice big mushroom cloud from that. Either that or they did activate FTS. It'll be interesting to know, because that was like perfectly timed with it smacking the water. And we have seen in the past from some Falcon 9 or a Falcon 9 water landing attempt that I believe it tipped over and popped as well. Long time ago. This was years ago before they even did the barge landings. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I guess we'll hear back on if that was FTS activation or just, you know, it ruptured the tanks. And then when tanks rupture and things break apart, you can get the ignition. So pretty cool shot from that one. Nice. It does add a little bit of unplanned rapid disassembly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we've seen it from Falcon 9 during their software landing attempts that they've caused similar RUDs, rapid unscheduled disassemblies. But I haven't never seen one quite that active from Falcon 9 for a water landing. Of course, this would have much more propellant in it. And arguably much more, what would you call it? Volatile propellants. More energy release than, say, RP1 and LOX. Because both of them can be in gaseous form and mix well to get basically ignition. That def would have been a catch. I'd like to think so, yeah. I mean, they say... I said this last time. I would love to know how they get their metrics for that sub-centimeter accuracy that they were touting from the previous Flight Test 4 water landing. Because like, how do you get sub-centimeter accuracy metric in the first place? GPS, definitely not. You'd have to do like some triangulation, I guess, or something like that. But yeah, it'd be nice to know, because that certainly worked and carried over well to Flight Test 5, right? That certainly worked there. But not bad. So we have our banana in space, chat. A huge barrel with highly flammable fumes. Yeah, exactly. I choose to believe that was a typo. Which one? How not to land a super heavy launch vehicle? Yeah, that would be really good. Inertial navigation? Inertial navigation I don't think would be that accurate, honestly. Like inertial navigation... Oh, the millimeter accuracy thing? Yeah. Yeah. Because like inertial nav, right, is subject to like drift bias and everything like that, and you would need GPS to then correct for it. So like I don't know, can inertial navigation systems be more accurate than... I guess they could. Yeah, I guess they could. You just have to be careful with something going this fast and whatnot that you're resetting the drift enough with GPS or something like that. Because essentially, right, inertial navigation system is you're just taking your whatever like IMU measurements and you're just integrating them. I mean, that's the simplest form of inertial navigation. But then as you integrate your IMU accelerations and whatnot, and your gyro outputs your you're getting your any sort of fluctuation in the noise with that, right? You're integrating that problem. So you inertial navigation systems are notorious for their drift bias, and back when that was the only thing we had for aircraft, right, for like military aircraft, before GPS existed, they would quite literally have to go through a set waypoint and realign their inertial navigation system at that waypoint to reset the drift bias. Now we can do that with GPS. Whenever we have a GPS signal, GPS gives us position and velocity measurements, so we can then use that data point to then reset the inertial navigation system. But yeah, I don't know how. I'm failing to remember how inertial navigation systems, in terms of their accuracy, stacks up to the accuracy of, say, like GPS and whatnot. Maybe they have something in the water, or buoy. They definitely have buoys, and so that's what I was saying. Like, if you have multiple buoys that are, I guess, tracking it, and you can triangulate based off of, I don't know, imaging systems, or just, bouncing signals off of it and whatnot, then yeah. Is that a banana in space? It is a banana for space. A banana for scale, in fact, in space. Looks like we are on the nighttime side of Earth as it's coasting here. Is that lightning in the background? That is definitely lightning in the background. Look at that, chat. You see that? Look at that. Oh, that's so cool. That's actually lightning in the background. How does inertial navigation work in 2 sentences? Oh, goodness. How does inertial navigation work in 2 sentences? I would have to say, from memory, if I'm remembering the implementation of an INS. Oh, great lightning shots there. That's actually really cool. Is essentially you're taking your inertial measuring system, your IMU, for example, and you're integrating its outputs. I think that's like the simplest way to put it, right? Because you can basically take acceleration from your IMU, integrate it to get your velocity changes, integrate that to get your position changes over time.
And we are on the dark side of the planet right now, so views are going to be a little bit dark. But hopefully we see some engine light come on as we do this relight test. This is,
and there's ways you can fuse other measurements in it too as well.
Deorbit burns. This is not a deorbit burn. Want to stress that we're on a trajectory.
Anything knows when it's moving, measured that movement, and you know where you are. Yeah, you know where you are because you know where you're not.
Ooh, seeing some thunderstorms down
there. Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. But this is not a deorbit burn. If we didn't fire this engine, we're on a intentional suborbital trajectory. So no matter what, we're coming in over the Indian Ocean. Firing off the engine does change your exact splashdown point a little bit, but we've got this keep out zone across the entire Indian Ocean that we made sure was clear ahead of flight.
Wow, it's very active in terms of the storms here, chat. That's really cool.
We're gonna aim
Could they be
that,
using Starlink instead of GPS? Yes, if Starlink has that capability for timing.
And it uses
yeah, they certainly could one.
Tank, so these small spherical tanks.
But the way you would have to use you would have to know like your time of flight for your signal. So you would actually have to, inside the protocol of Starlink or whatever you're using to, yeah, either that, or I wonder if Starlink could actually be used itself even without the timing information to, yeah, I don't know enough about what Starlink use inside of its protocol, like if it's like inside of its messaging headers and whatnot for communication. Because if they provide for every message like a timestamp, then you can use those timestamps and then you can estimate based on basically the speed of light off of each Starlink system you're pinging off of to then basically get your ranging between each of them, and you have enough of them. If you have 3, 4, 5, 10 Starlinks you're all communicating with and you're getting those timestamp information, then yeah, you can use trilateration or triangle. What's the difference? Trilateration, I guess, would be the actual term you would use for that. Hey, look at that, chat. That was it.
There's some light. There's that Raptor relit.
Just like that, done.
And shut down.
Yeah, like how long was that burn?
Right,
you saw it on the other camera, Starship illuminating, and then they switched to the engine bay for a split second.
Other than our ascent burn. So really cool to see that relit. That's a pretty critical capability that we're going to need.
Yeah, no kidding.
When we're doing orbital missions.
Let's check that out again.
Away from that
Stand by.
expected ship burn.
Watch for the speed change here.
And again, we've relit Raptors pretty frequently. We just did it with the landing burn.
They're only 138 kilometers altitude.
And we've done it on ship landing
burns. It's really, really low, chat.
In this
suborbital
gravity environment where your propellant management and a lot of other things are different as you're not way down with the force of Earth's gravity.
There it goes. Oh, they just used one engine? Nice. And that was it.
Call out for startup.
Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
There's some light. There's that Raptor relit.
Nice. That's cool.
And shut down.
That's cool. So yeah, they only used one Raptor on that engine ignition.
How the tiles fare. We've also got some pretty cool tile experiments that we'll talk about in a little bit. But coming up real soon, ship re-entry, successful relight, and we'll start.
Yeah, we're starting to descend very quickly, by the way, chat. If you didn't notice that, just from the 20 seconds that I rewound the live stream to rewatch the engine ignition, we've already dropped 10 kilometers. So this thing is coming down pretty fast already. About to hit atmospheric interface. If I recall correctly, we should see landing at roughly the 1 hour mark. Does anybody actually have the specific timing schedule for this mission? But I think it was like just after 1 hour in the flight test 5, and this is technically supposed to be a very, very similar flight profile. And what you're seeing there is, I think, some of the start of reentry, and you're also seeing some of the venting of gases interacting with the upper atmosphere here. Like, so that's a vent from either the RCS or from a vent on like the engines, or not the engines, off the tanks, that are interacting with the atmosphere going this fast at this low altitude. That's pretty crazy. That's awesome, chat. Nice. So yeah, we're already starting to see atmospheric interface a bit here. Like I said, this thing's going very fast and very low altitude. Like, it's already lower than what Falcon 9 typically does on its arc to land. Like, typically on a Falcon 9 mission, depending on what its specific flight profile is, it'll go up to like 120 kilometers for second stage separation. So it's already lower than what a Falcon 9 will typically do staging separation, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, it's starting to come in very hot indeed. And remember, this is starting off at on the night side and should be going into daylight. So we're in nighttime right now, but hopefully by the time we get into the peak heating and whatnot, we'll actually be starting to see some daylight. Ooh, look at that. That's crazy. So if we do see it, I'll point it out again. But remember what I said before. You see all of these minor disruptions in the tiles, minor imperfections and whatnot, right? All these little minor imperfections will actually create expansion shocks off of the vehicle as it's going through re-entry, and you'll quite literally see lines extending off of Starship, coming from off of all of these imperfections and all of these like barrel segments that we see. So that's really cool. Remember, chat, as you can see here in this camera angle, they took off a bunch of rows or columns of tiles, because these tiles used to go all the way up here, right? Used to go up this entire side. Now we're seeing tiles stop down here, even below the rear flap, like as low as the rear flap is. So this is going to be a testament to see just how well Starship is able to withstand re-entry using these fewer tiles. They're doing this for a couple of reasons. Primarily because in the future, Starship here will have infrastructure, basically those pins, in order to catch on the catch arms of the tower. And so they actually need room. They don't want to be shaving tiles off as the vehicle comes in to land on the tower with those catch arms coming up the side. So they're removing these tiles here for those catch arms to be able to catch the Starship in the future. So yeah, they've removed a lot of those tiles here, which is very noticeable. Also, keep in mind that this vehicle is coming in much steeper than Flight Test 5. So it actually might be a slightly faster entry as well. From the required 3. Hey, keep at it, Matt Chad. If you remember me, I've been streaming for 6 years and got affiliate status. I don't know. It took many months of constant streaming to get affiliate status, and then after 5.5 years, finally partner. So it's a grind. Keep at it, man. Yep, less mass, exactly right. Less mass from tiles. Ah, great shot though. We're definitely in the heating now, chat. We're going 26,800 kilometers an hour at only 100 kilometers altitude. To put in that perspective, the new Shepard vehicle goes higher than 100 kilometers. The new Shepard vehicle goes up to like 105 or so kilometers. That takes space tourists up, right? And does the new Shepard capsule return. So this is already lower than that. Of course, in comparison, this thing is also going, you know, like 20 times faster. Great shot from the back of the engine bay. I love this camera shot. That's really cool. You can see some solid nitrogen or solid oxygen here. Probably solid oxygen from this vent line here. I'm usually a SpaceX fanboy, but regarding a reusable shield made with tiles, I will believe it when I see it. It was a nightmare for the space shuttle. Well, technically speaking, if this is similar to Tough Rock or toughened unifibrous reinforced oxidation resistant carbon, carbon. Tough Rock is the short acronym for it. It is reusable. It's what the X-37B uses. The only thing that makes Starship really hard is its attachment points. They actually talked about in the past, before Starship became Starship, of actually using a molded heat shield, where they would literally take the same substance and mold it in a bed to then be retrofitted onto Starship. But that also comes with problems on how big of a mold and manufacturing, and how, you know, these tiles are fairly brittle. So yeah, there's no easy way to do it, but if anyone can do it, I think SpaceX can make this system fully reusable. So check this out, chat. You can actually see a clear difference right here on this plasma, and this is coming off of the flap here, which is pretty cool. So you're seeing this forming from the body, and then you have this big wake right here coming off of the flap. That should be the rear flap, if I'm not mistaken. I think we're on the forward flap looking backward. Everything's looking good here though. No burn through yet. Fingers crossed, chat.
Starbase at 4 p.m. Central Time. The Super Heavy booster and ship had a successful.
Sierra Space is working on reusable tiles. Yeah, I think Sierra Space for Dream Chaser, they want to also do the molded thermal protection system. At least that's what their original design was for Dream Chaser. Was basically Tough Rock, similar to this, but it would be molded and then, you know, as a single piece put onto Dream Chaser, which would be pretty awesome.
Obviously, we were hoping to come back to the tower, but this was a test, and we knew that it was a very viable possibility.
Starship is at 85 kilometers. Flaps now have control of the vehicle.
Flaps have control. Flaps are now going to actuate to maintain its attitude and its downrange distance.
Amazing views once again. We heard the call
more than just mass savings, less tiles save on inspection time, effort. Yep, all that jazz. That's right, Esther. So this is what I was talking about earlier. See all of these slight variations in the plasma wake? All these little shadows and stuff that comes off of the imperfections in the tiles and the body and whatnot. It's really cool to see.
To make it through the extreme heat of reentry, and to do so in a controlled manner. Now, reentry is typically a portion of flight where we don't have communication.
Looking really good
with the spacecraft, because it's re-entering at or around orbital velocity, which is roughly 8 kilometers per second, or about 5 miles.
The fewer parts, the better. That's generally speaking true.
Yep, pretty fast. The spacecraft.
A molded shield to cut weight, nice. Yep.
Rather quickly, and that results in friction. As we can see that.
Also cool to see the waves are so stable. Yeah.
Creates a plasma field around the vehicle. That blanket of plasma distorts communication frequencies, so it's not uncommon to experience brief blackouts in communication.
I wish we had a camera pointing up. I would love to see what this plume effect from the plasma looks like on the top of Starship as it's coming back together. Ooh, nice.
And we just heard we're getting into the peak heating phase. We're getting these views courtesy of Starlink. We've got 4.
I think that's some RCS puffs happening and
really allowed us to
glowing as it impinges upon the atmosphere.
Otherwise been just a mystery box essentially for spacecraft design, where when you're re-entering through the atmosphere, at least getting anything in real time.
What's a molded shield? Here, I'll show you.
Possible before, but we're able to not just get these views, but real-time telemetry from the ship as it's coming through. Do really want to stress that we are really pushing the ship today. The heat shield is not in the same configuration as it was last flight.
Stand by.
Where we had a team of ship techs do just an otherworldly task, replacing the entire heat shield. Thousands of tiles.
That's crazy.
Installing a backup ablative, and that.
So this is what a molded heat shield looks like. So this is Dream Chaser, the next generation Dream Chaser design, and quite literally it's one piece of tile. I think they use it at the front because you can see the individual tiles here in the wrap. But it's essentially the same thermal protection system, but they put it almost like carbon composite in a bed, and then they mold it to the shape that it needs to be. So it's one single piece versus a bunch of individual tiles. That's what a molded heat shield is.
And there's also a whole lot more steel of the ship showing.
A whole lot more steel, indeed. So remember to check the flap areas chat. The flap at the very back, sorry, I should say that the forward flap at the portion at the very back had burned through in flight test 4. And then on flight test 5, the last flight test, it burned through actually the center of the flap. So very near the actuator, which is really bad. We'll have to see what happens here.
Basically present that necessary receding line, which you kind of can see there in your view.
Ooh, we're starting to get toasty indeed.
The heat shield line
so here's the forward flap. So we actually lost it on flight test 4 here, where it started saying burn through, and it basically cut through a third of the flap. And then on flight test 5, it started burning through right here next to this big actuator. So we'll see if it survives this time.
Just be super plain. Don't be surprised if we see some wackadoodle stuff happen here.
We're seeing those waves? Yeah, Aster, indeed.
We won't be.
Yeah, I pointed them out.
There are a number of things that we are testing out.
Is that a tile starting to come off?
Yeah, exactly. And knowing what those limits are,
Are we seeing the back of a tile there?
Design the vehicle.
I don't know what I'm looking at here.
Essentially, removing those tiles helps us remove a lot of weight from the vehicle, a lot of.
And yet the flight control system compensated exactly right.
And the goal is to come up with a heat shield pattern or design that we don't have to refurbish. We can just continue to use it over and over again.
Look at the skin of Starship.
Changing some of those tiles and.
Isn't that crazy? And then yeah, you can see those waves in the plasma that I was talking about. But yeah, look at the skin of Starship as it's getting heated up. As it's going through aerodynamic loads, you can see it start to crinkle. Isn't that crazy?
We want to better understand where we can install catch hardware.
We're starting to see some real hot stuff coming up on the forward flap here. Those sparks and stuff.
And today's flight will help inform.
Looking good so far.
You know, does the stainless steel
We're at peak heating.
Like we think
probably past it by now. 69 kilometers.
Flight 5. Now continuing to look, amazing views. Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, there's so much on this flight that we're doing to
peeling off, like, I don't know, some sort of fruit with a peel. Yeah, exactly. Like a banana.
Understand what their capabilities are gonna be.
Yeah, I wish I could see this from a different angle. I don't know what that structure is right there.
Flight 7, it's got
if that's like a tile covering like this flat connection point, or
that's most interesting,
because it almost looks like it's a tile like coming off, but I don't think it is because it hasn't moved. So
and
looking good though.
Wind tunnels, we've done it in simulations. You might see the flaps really flapping around trying to control the vehicle.
It's super stable right now, right? Like, look at the attitude. If this is live telemetry, that's super stable.
Always a chance that bet doesn't pay.
Hey, Andrew, how's it going?
But that just helps us know, like, what are our
Starship
limits.
is now halfway through the peak heating phase of entry.
Halfway through peak heating?
Halfway there, halfway home, guys.
Looking good. Not seeing any smoldering yet, so we definitely haven't gotten through the hottest stuff yet. Look at that. Oh, that's so good to see. You can see the change in boundary layer as the vehicle gets lower at really high altitude, or at really high velocities. It starts hitting more and more atmospheric particles, which then, you know, become plasma, right? It starts ionizing. And because it's starting to hit higher pressures, that boundary layer, those basically wings that we're seeing here of plasma, will get closer and closer and closer to the vehicle until it's basically right up against the edge of the vehicle. And that's when you're really hot. You can also see how hot it is by the rainbow color and the stainless steel. And we're starting to see some daylight in the background as well, if you guys saw that. We basically saw the Terminator line in the background of that last picture.
About the ship, and this is a great opportunity to do that. So really pushing the flight hardware in a flight environment.
66 kilometers.
To help inform these future designs.
You can start to see that flap get really hot. Look at that hot spot right there, chat. It happened on flight test 5 as well. That plasma's just sitting there on the boundary layer of the vehicle. You see that? Because there's basically a dead zone right here as the flap protection piece that goes right here, and the wing starts, the actual flap starts, and it just sits right there.
Protect the metal is the thinking there. Also checking of the ship's structural strength in those
looking
areas
good.
where we're looking
It's looking
to
good.
add that ship
I wonder
catch
how much heating
hardware
this
just to
I wonder
see
how
if it
heating this
survives entry.
much changes the properties of the
So,
steel.
yeah,
It's
as
a good
we've been saying,
question.
we've
We won't
done,
know, I guess, until we get
a
it
lot of
back,
calculations
or
and
maybe SpaceX
simulations.
knows from
This view
testing.
right here is super cool. This is looking out from the
You see
aft engine
you see
bay,
the
basically at
discoloration?
bottom of
That's pretty cool.
Starship. Then on
All the flaps look good,
the
though.
Center left hand
I don't see
panel, if you
any
will,
like
we have
clear
one of the
notifications of like
forward
tiles coming
Starship
off like we
flaps,
saw in flight
flaps,
test
so
4
where
and
the flaps
5.
located
We're
at the
starting to
top
get
of the
daylight.
vehicle.
You can see
Underneath that is one of the
clouds in the
aft
background and
end
stuff.
flaps, like the one that we see in the main picture there on the right-hand side of your screen.
If you notice, you see how that boundary layer is getting closer and closer and closer?
Atmosphere, drawing a crowd once again here at SpaceX in Hawthorne as
62
folks
kilometers.
tune in as the mission continues on. Now, the
It's
next
definitely
event we
getting
have
hot.
coming up,
Here you can see in this
we
picture,
should
there's Earth,
hear
there's the
call
sunlight
out
just peeking
that
over.
The vehicle is
We're about to cross the
transonic
Terminator.
around T+1 hour and 2 minutes or so.
You see how that defined
means
line
that the
keeps
vehicle
moving
is
closer
traveling
and closer
near
and
the
closer.
speed of sound.
And we're getting more
say
plasma
near the speed of
accumulation right
sound
up
because
against the
there's certain
tiles now
parts of
here.
the vehicle where airflow is going faster and other parts where it's going slower, so it kind of teeters there on the brink of
Oh, it's
the
starting to
speed of sound.
smolder.
So,
Those tiles are getting
once we
red hot.
have equal flow on all
See how they
parts,
look like they're
then we'll hear
smoldering now?
subsonic.
They almost look like
Yeah.
ash
Almost
in a
real quick,
fire.
almost a reverse of, I'm
Just
sorry,
that
Jesse,
glowing
almost a reverse of before.
red.
We see the Earth starting to come into view. We've got
Yeah, the clouds are going by super fast as we get lower in the atmosphere and still traveling super fast here.
We've had before. And it was
18,000
specifically
kilometers an hour.
get as much daylight as possible to see how ship does this.
What is that, like Mach?
Over to you,
Mach
Jesse.
8?
Sorry about that.
Dan,
More than that.
great minds
At-
think
well,
alike.
at this
That's
altitude.
exactly what I was going to point out, is that we're getting a lot clearer view of the Earth in the background.
Yep, we're starting to see daylight.
With, the different temperatures that we're seeing with the different colors.
Guess they need those
of that
tiles after
plasma
all.
around
Yeah,
the ship,
100%.
which is really cool to see. Again,
Ah, that's crazy.
we are pushing the limits of ship today, but so far everything is looking.
Yep, we're definitely in
pretty
daylight now.
nominal.
Yeah.
We'll see how the next few minutes goes.
Yeah, like we've said before, don't be surprised if this is not entirely.
Flap still
smooth
looks good,
sailing
intact.
all the way down to
I don't know what
the
that is right
ocean
there, though.
surface. Similar to Flight 5, we are targeting the same splashdown location in the Indian Ocean.
I wish they would full
but
screen
we're
that flap
not
view.
Expecting to recover the
Did I see some of that glow underneath
And
like
were
we saw
getting some
before?
glimpses of the flaps. The flaps so far are looking pretty good. We're
See
not
that right
seeing
there?
any
Smoldering
burnt
red
area
on
with
this
those
side.
flaps
I think
again,
that's a tile, so I
in that
guess
hinge area, which is our
I
most
think that's the
concerning
edge of a
area
tile that we're
there.
seeing, right?
That's great news for us for now.
think it's fine.
Again, the next few minutes could
Mach
change
13,
as we
awesome. That's great.
continuously
That's
push
good,
those
yeah.
limits.
Yeah, once we slow down a little bit.
Flaps are actuating. Look how stable it is, though, too.
I think that's about 12.
Very stable there.
Kilometers an hour. Once we're down below that, that's when we're gonna kind of dip our nose down and get that more aggressive angle of attack. Normally we're just belly flop right into the water, pretty much that position.
Woo,
but if
nice.
We're gonna be able to
From the engine bay,
to
chat.
launch sites, we're going to want to be able
You can
to
actually see the
fly
plasma trail
a bit
behind
more
it.
of an angle of
See
attack
that? The
and
start of
a
it?
bit more range.
This is where all
as
the
you're flying
plasma that's
through.
going around the ship
And
is
so
starting to come
this'll-
back
this'll be
together,
just a
like
test to
around the
see
back here.
Quite how far can we push it? And obviously we're going to
Do the
these kind
tiles'
of
performance
tests
improve as they
way
start to
out
burn
here
and
in
smolder
super
like in a
remote
blader-based
areas
shield, or is it
before
about the same
we ever
throughout?
try
That's a
to
good
bring
question. I
ship
don't know,
down
Mad
to a
Chad.
place like Starbase.
Starship remains on a good entry trajectory. External temperatures are coming down.
There we go. It's already
All right, great
past
news there. That tells us
peak.
that we are through
Look at the discoloration
the
up here, though.
phase of
See that?
heating. So
It got hot
we
up
are
on the top, too.
expecting these temperatures to continue to come down. Once again, we are targeting a soft splashdown.
They have to
in the
have
Indian
temp
Ocean,
sensors embedded inside the wing. I wish
around
they would
the-
share it. That's
off
true.
the
That'd be really nice.
northwest coast of
Oh.
Australia. We can see
Oh,
these beautiful
that
views of planet Earth
doesn't
coming
look
in. Yeah, this
too
is very
great.
different, where we
I think we
had
are seeing some
nighttime
burn through on the forward
views
flap here.
of the ship as it was re-entering.
That's getting
And
hot.
now we've got daylight.
It is
about
past
an
peak heating
hour
though,
or
but it's
so after
still got a
sunrise
ways to
there
go
in the
before it's
Indian
out of the
Ocean. So
heating.
pretty cool to see this.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
It's
and It
starting.
might not seem like it makes a huge difference,
It's
but we
starting.
do get a little bit more light on ship as well for the camera views that we have, which is very beneficial for us to visually.
It looks like it's fine
see
for the moment, though, but
anything
that's
and
definitely getting hot.
Try and correlate that to any of the sensors or data that we have on the vehicle.
Everything
Exactly. That
else
is
looks
why we
okay, I think.
shifted our launch window so that we could have
You can see those
that
tiles got really
data in
hot.
order
They're
to
basically
improve
smoldering
our
ash now.
observations of the vehicle. So not only are
You don't
we
know
getting
about
all
this one?
the
I think we're
raw
okay
data
still.
from all the sensors that are on board.
The aft flap here
Starship,
looks
but
good.
We also have multiple cameras and assets out there.
Yeah, the
that
aft flap
are
here looks good.
watching the vehicle and
It's a
will
big enough
also be able
surface
to tell
area,
us
and it's behind
with
the
this visual story
it's basically
that
on the
is
leeward
also
side of the
very,
vehicle,
very
far enough back that should be fine no matter what.
And as we get down a little bit lower,
Come on, show the forward flap at this angle. I want to see full screen forward flap here.
Just essentially getting them primed to turn on. We're going to use those 3 center engines.
All right,
To do a landing.
Looking
flip
good.
And a landing burn. So
things
we'll come
definitely
down,
got hot
kinda do
though.
That slightly pointed down belly flop, and then fire off those engines to flip us around.
Yeah,
and
you
then
can
do
see
that
all the
final
discoloration
landing
around the
burn. That should be
back.
coming up in
See
just
that?
a
All the way
little
down?
over just under 5 minutes
That
from now.
leading edge
and
right there on
hopefully
the
start getting some
flap
call-outs
protection.
on transonic and subsonic as we
What would
slow
you call
down.
that piece
Again,
actually?
Once you hear Starship as subsonic,
But yeah, they got really hot on
keep a
that
close
forward
eye on
edge
the
there.
flaps. They're going to be working overtime essentially to maintain control of the ship as we get a little more aggressive with this.
I like how the camera. Ooh, yeah. See what I say, chat. What I
You can
say.
see that we are beginning.
Starship has passed maximum entry dynamic pressure.
Yep. So they did
All right, great
lose
call out
tiles
there,
up
but
here
we
on the
can
front,
see
it
on this
seems.
view here that we do have some heating there.
We got some
that
burn
looks
through.
like one of the forward flaps on Starship. This is to be expected. We knew
A shroud,
that the
yeah, a
vehicle,
cowling maybe.
would perform differently.
It
than
looks
what
like,
we
is that
have seen
actually
on Flight
gone,
5.
or did it just heat up
Is actually
internally,
really
the
good data
steel?
because it tells us what
Because it
types
almost
of
looks like it's still
vehicle
there.
has
Like you can see the leading edge and
what
whatnot
will
still. So I
soon
think
be a higher
the
angle
steel,
attack once we
because
drop down.
right, stainless steel has a
Although
much
we
higher heating
have a higher
tolerance than
angle
say
of attack,
aluminum.
we're gonna be flying nose
So
down,
that may
basically.
have, because it started
So
on
yeah,
the
this is
aft
good news,
end
but
of
we
the
can
peak
actually-
heating range,
looks
it
like
actually
that
might still be
heating is starting
intact.
to
It's just
cool
red
off.
hot.
Yeah,
might
it's a
be
little
okay.
burn through. Again, it is important to note
Because it looks like
when
you can
we
still see the
start
leading
seeing
edge
that,
here, so
through
it's not like a
the
hole
ship's
or whatever that
design
we
as
saw
well.
on
So
Flight
like
Test
Kate was
4.
saying, we're getting some really good data here. Looks like the other flaps
Almost like a
doing
seam stopped it.
little
Yeah,
better than
I
the one
noticed that
has
too.
a little
There
burn
might have
through,
been like
which
a.
is some
They
good
do
news.
have ribs, right?
And constantly
Stringers on
watching,
the
we've
inside
got
of it, so maybe even the
couple
stringer was able
minutes
to
until
dissipate
we're
some of the heat.
expecting, to make it all the way back down to Earth.
Exactly. And like we
Yeah,
said
they have
before,
internal stringers or ribs on
we
the
are
inside
not
of these
expecting
flaps.
to recover the ship,
So that may have been able
that
to
would be
either
great.
block the heat
I mean,
or
that's a
dissipate the
bonus if
heat.
it happened, but it's not really in our expectations today.
All right, we
really
are
wanna push
really
the
slow.
hardware, as we've been saying. But really, the telemetry and the data and
Pretty
the
high,
video
pretty high
that we
going this
receive
slow,
all the way
26
to the
kilometers
end
still.
is truly what we're looking for, and will help inform the future designs of this vehicle.
Those flaps are actuating now,
Flap movement as
actively.
the camera is moving around. That's what you're seeing there is
Whoa.
the flaps adjusting.
You see
We
that,
have the
chat?
camera
It started.
on
It
one of the
started
flaps there.
yawing.
This is the view that you're seeing there.
Now it's
And
pitching.
you can also see
Now
the
we're
graphic in the
belly flop
bottom,
almost.
Starship is slowing down past Mach 1.
Now we're transonic.
And callouts aligning with this. You can see the orientation of the vehicle starting to change.
Can confirm it's
Follow that
easier to break
graphic at the bottom
down
of your
aluminum.
screen.
Yeah.
Again, that is
Looks
why those
intact but
flaps are
thermally
changing.
compromised. That's what I would
The
say as well,
orientation of the
Warlock.
vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are
Yeah,
4.
this is
Go ahead, Dan.
Starship has started
What are
the
they
subject
trying to test in this flight and that they didn't test before? So they're testing the removal of tiles here. They're also testing a steeper entry profile. So basically it would get hotter faster on this profile. And they also had a more nose down profile as well, which is actually worse heating on the vehicle as well. So they're testing a bunch of those sort of like operational changes, trying to expand the flight envelope,
Yeah,
as
this
I
is
was
such
saying
a
earlier.
cool
One.
view. This reminds me.
That's some
of
serious
when
air
we
resistance.
first
Yeah, now we belly
performed
flop like
the belly flop
a
maneuver on the
like a
high altitude
skydiver,
test
right?
with serial number 8. We saw the ship come back through, and I always wondered what it
Look
looked
at
like from
that.
the ship's perspective. And
Those flaps
this
are
perspective, I
active,
think,
chat.
helps inform that.
Keeping
We will
a
be, as Dan said, we will be
almost
dipping
perfect belly flop
down a little
attitude.
further and really be flying nose first.
Yeah, I
This
know,
higher
right?
angle of
Whatever. That'd
attack,
be really nice to
we're
share
intentionally
the
doing it to
temperature
stress those
temperature
aft
readings.
flaps, and that will help inform the limits of flap control. In order
Look,
to
it's a
collect
plane now.
data
Is this a
for
plane?
future
I feel like
landing
this is
profiles.
not a plane. A plane should not be doing this.
I mean, we're looking good so far.
This is not how a
Got about
plane
5
should
kilometers
come in for a
altitude to
landing.
go.
I'm just saying.
With
I hate all the
like
cloud
the
cover though. I hope that doesn't
just
block a lot of the
200 meters,
morning sunlight here.
around, do that flip.
Because this is like early morning, I guess, in the Indian Ocean.
On a good trajectory.
I have a
All right, we're
feeling
about
it's
to
gonna
go
look
through some
so
clouds,
cool
chat.
as it passes through the clouds.
Yeah. I wish they would show the forward flap to make sure, just so we could see that it's looking good. There's nose down.
And there's that nose down orientation.
Nice. It's tracking. Look how fast those flaps
Now the,
actuate, chat.
Raptor engines
How
will
crazy is
stabilize
that?
And help flip the booster back up. This is a more severe flip, given the
Yeah, look at those
orientation.
tiles. They got
The engines will
brutally
shut down
chewed,
prior
chat.
to the water making impact, and prior to the
Look how
vehicle
fast
making
those
impact
flaps
with the water.
actuate. That is
Our ship is
insane.
doing great so far.
There's engine ignition. There's the water.
There's those engines relighting.
We are vertical, going past vertical, and coming back. We're back down to 2 engines. We had good 3 engines.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
Into the water.
Oh, easy mode, chat. Yes. Easy.
That ship splashed down
Oh,
into
no.
the Indian Ocean.
Oh, it's fine, chat. Oh, and we have the buoy.
Awesome buoy cam action.
Wow, that was crazy. Well, it's not fine. It's not great, but it's okay. It's still
Incredible.
relatively in one
You
piece.
Really pushed the limits on ship and made it all the way back down to Earth.
Look
I
at
am
that.
shocked, to be honest.
Wow.
I think many
That's
folks
awesome.
Are. The fact that it survived
Huh.
all the way through.
Hell
while
yeah,
flying
that was
a
good.
lesser gen
No, go
heat
back.
shield is just absolutely incredible. And,
There we go. Nice.
turns
It's now a
out
boat,
the
chat.
vehicle
So
had
it
more
went from
capability than our
spaceship to
calculations
aircraft
predicted,
to
and that
boat.
is why
Yeah,
we
that's how
test
that
like
works.
we
It is boat now, yes.
Exactly why we do that, and those views were absolutely incredible to watch. Because of Starlink, we were able to get the views.
Guess it's
all
2.5
the way
starships
down,
now. Yeah, it
as
looks
well
like
as
it was
buoys,
definitely cracked
seeing
open like
ship
an egg.
Touchdown in daylight.
So cool. So cool.
Come
Now, we
on,
want
show
to,
more of that camera angle.
Unfortunately, wrap up the show.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Starboat.
We'll say congratulations to our teammates at SpaceX and to everyone
That was
who supported
awesome.
the Starship program. And thank you to all of our future customers for your support.
We'd
Nice.
also like to thank the people of Cameron County, Texas, as well as the Coast Guard, the Federal Aviation Administration, the government of Mexico.
We've had space
and the
planes, now we
Australian
get space seaplanes. Yeah, exactly.
Now,
It didn't explode because of different fuel? No, I think it may have exploded. Jessica's like,
I have to take it from here. That was just incredible to see that splashdown.
Jesse's
So
like,
thanks to everybody that
okay,
took such a
camera,
deep
switch
part
off,
in
please.
this. Everybody here at Starbase that's worked on this
Not enough
program,
fuel to
just
explode?
really
That
pouring
they have the
their mind into
FTS
it.
though.
Great to see
And
that
last
booster
time, Flight Test
off,
5,
catch
I'm
it
pretty sure they
next up.
activated the
Great
flight
to see
termination
sea
system
ship
so
in
it
the
would
water.
make sure that it
New
would
version of
sync,
the ship
but
coming soon, so a lot more
we'll have
exciting
to get that
launches coming up
confirmation.
real soon here from Starbase.
We definitely didn't see it on any
I'll
camera
send-
angle.
I'll send us out this time. We'll see you
So.
guys next time.
but it was like it landed and then it fell over and then
Awesome.
camera cut
Thanks,
and then it
Dan.
went back
Be
and it
sure
looked
to
like it
follow
was in two
SpaceX
pieces.
on X for updates and more exciting views that we weren't able to feature on today's broadcast.
What a great day to resub. Yo,
Thanks
Bravo
all of you for
Alpha
tuning
Echo
in,
coming in
and
with that
we'll see
Twitch
you next
Prime
time.
subscription. Much love to you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, how crazy was that? All right, let's go back here. Come on. Come on. Take us back. No, stop it. X. Gosh, X is the worst at rewinds, in my opinion. Like, they have the capability, but it's actually not implemented, apparently. Like, you have to wait for the live stream to actually end before you can then reload and go back. Why X?
Guys, I could take it.
Which
There
is
we go.
very bad.
Okay, perfect.
For future landing profiles.
Let's check that landing profile again. Here we go.
I mean, we're looking.
Have it.
We're looking
Oh my God, really? Why?
at landing burn if,
There we go.
if the flaps can hold together.
All right.
Yeah, this is such a cool view.
But yeah, look at the
This
leading
reminds
edge here.
me,
So that white,
of when we-
if I'm not mistaken, there are multiple layers to the thermal protection system, right? You have a black coating on the outside, and then as soon as you go underneath that black coating, you actually start to have, well, where the paint or whatever is no longer there, and it's all white on the inside. So to me, that right there tells me that those tiles got some pitting, as we were talking about earlier, and either enough aerodynamic forces or enough heating or something that actually caused that leading edge part of the flap cowling here to actually get eaten away. I have to go back further and actually see if we can see that point that
First
happens, but
performed
kind of
the belly
interesting.
flop maneuver on the high altitude test with serial number 8. We saw the
sacrificial
ship come
layer
back
is black,
through,
of
and I
course,
always
yes.
wondered what it looked like
Yes,
from
indeed.
the ship's perspective, and this perspective I think helps inform that. We will
Warlock,
be, as
you're
Dan said, we
you're
will be
awful.
dipping down a little further and really be flying nose first.
Yes, of course you're kidding. You better be.
This higher angle of attack, you know, we're intentionally doing it to stress those aft flaps, and that will help inform the limits of flap control.
I can't get
in
over
order
these
to
views. That's
collect data
crazy.
for future landing profiles.
They need to recover the banana. Yeah, the banana for scale. It's inside the cargo bay.
We're looking good so far. We've just got about 5 kilometers in altitude to go. We'll ignite the engines when we're still just a couple hundred meters over the ground.
4 kilometers
Before
altitude.
Starship is passing through 5 kilometers altitude, remains on a good trajectory.
I have a feeling this is going to look so cool.
The
as
cameraman
it
never
passes
dies,
through the
chat.
clouds.
Come on now.
Obligatory
The banana
shout-out to the
split.
entire avionics team.
There's the nose down.
And there's that nose down orientation.
Testing different maneuverability.
Now the,
Back to belly flop.
Raptor
It's
engines
super
will
stable on
relight
re-entry and
help
on
flip
this
the
flight
booster
down here.
back Up. This is a more severe flip given the orientation. The engines will shut down prior to the water making impact, prior to the vehicle making impact with the water.
So engines will shut down. There's 1, 3.
There's those engines relighting.
Then we have one engine shut down.
What a great reorientation.
Yep, one engine shut down.
By Starship.
Coming in. Oh, that's looking great, chat. Look at that.
Into the water.
Starship is landed.
Wow.
Nice.
And we have ship splashed down in the Indian Ocean.
And then we get this camera angle, which is a little bit delayed. We definitely don't see any explosion here. And then we get this shot, and it looks like it's...
Incredible.
Is the banana okay?
We've
The banana is
really
about to be at the
pushed limits on
bottom
ship
of the
and made
Indian
it
Ocean.
all
Let's
the
put it that
back
way.
down to Earth.
I am
Man.
shocked, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
I think many folks are.
that's a great flight.
The fact that it survived all the way through while flying a lesser gen heat shield.
What a
is
flight
just
indeed.
Absolutely incredible. And
Ah,
it
chat.
turns out the
That
vehicle
was
had more
awesome.
capability
What a
than our
great Tuesday for a
calculations
Starship
predicted,
flight.
and that is why we.
All right, I want to see something else here.
We're
Can
gonna
we
need to
see?
attack.
Pretty cool to see this
Oh.
northwest coast.
Huge difference.
Oh,
Now, views
something does hit the
of
tile,
the ship
chat.
as it was re-entering.
Watch.
And now we've got daylight. It is about an hour or so after sunrise there in the.
Does something hit it?
Indian Ocean.
Oh, snap. Yes. Did y'all see it? Did you see it, chat? Watch.
Views
Watch that
of
angle right
the ship as
there.
it was re-entering. And now we've got daylight. It is about
Something
an
of
hour
tile or
so
something does
after
pop off
sunrise
and smack
there in
into
the
it.
Indian Ocean.
There
So,
goes.
pretty cool to see this.
Yeah, and it might not seem
Yeah,
like
so it wasn't the heating. It was
down.
actually another part of the vehicle coming off
Great
and
news there. That
smacking
tells us
that
we are
cowling.
through the
Tile on
phase of
tile
peak
violence, I
heating.
guess.
So we are expecting the.
Can we slow it down? When does it actually happen? And can you? Oh, you can. Sweet. It's 5 seconds. Awesome. Stand by.
To continue to
Yo,
come
Rivian,
down.
how's it going?
Once
Raid,
again,
what's
we
good?
are targeting a soft splashdown.
How you doing,
in the
Rivian?
Indian Ocean.
All right, so since this camera
around
view,
the beautiful views of planet Earth.
I want to see if we can't see that tile in slow-mo. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Okay. So from here, does this actually do slow-mo? I don't know if it does. Oh, it doesn't, does it, chat? Oh, that's such a
hour or
shame.
so after sunrise.
I can maybe go bit by bit. Maybe I can. Hit the tile. Was it aliens? Well, you can see little streaks of things coming off, right? Like there's definitely, holy shnikes. EJ coming in with a massive raid. Holy crap. Well, hello, all you raiders. EJ, what are you doing? It's only 4 o'clock. It's way too early for you to be stopping. Welcome, raiders. Good lord. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to my little corner of the interwebs. Yes, bring the bananas for scale. That is such an apt emoji to be spamming right now. How are you doing? Doing very well, thank you. Kerbal 3, we are playing Kerbal 3 100%. Yeah. EJ been at it since 5 a.m. Has he really? Okay, I guess EJ can be forgiven for ending a little earlier than he normally does. Good lord. Good lord. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I saw EJ for a split second. Fill face with holes with rocket knowledge. I will try to do that. Yeah, my best. I will try to do that. The NSF feed on YouTube, maybe? Yeah, must have been. Hello, everybody. Yes, we just got finished seeing the fantastic Flight 6 of Starship. My goodness gracious, chat. What a great flight. Happy Tuesday. 36-day turnaround or whatever it was since flight test 5. Unfortunately, we did not get the catch tower attempt, but hey, you know how it goes. New viewer here. I want to ask you, I should go about joining the space industry. I want to join SpaceX as a GNC engineer. Hey, that's my field. Hell yeah. And in 4 weeks time, I will be in college. I'm a bit overwhelmed on how to get there. Oh man. Graham, know that aerospace engineering is definitely very difficult, but it is so rewarding. If you're just now starting college, all I can say is make sure that you stay on top of things early, because I can tell you from my own experience, if you were one of those people that kind of just like breezed through high school, right? Like high school was fairly easy. College is definitely different. Especially the aerospace engineering track. It gets difficult very fast, and depending on the college that you go to, they expect you to basically be an adult already, which at least for me was a little bit of a shock to the system for like the first semester trying to figure out what college is all about. But how to get there, honestly, just do well in your classes. Go to classes, please go to classes. I cannot say that enough. I wish I always went to classes my first few semesters, because you can get behind pretty quickly if you don't. And try to get in, even as an undergrad, into research. If your school does like graduate research, typically they will also hire undergrads in order to do projects with them. So like for me, I worked in a propulsion laboratory at Georgia Tech, where I went to undergrad school. And then I got in with some of the graduate research assistants there in their propulsion lab, and one thing after another got me into graduate school at Mass and Space Systems, and now at the company I work with now. So yeah, I know that was a lot, but it's like, just do well in class and try to get into some research program of some sort if your college gives that. Internships, of course, are great. Probably a little bit early to do internships right now, but yeah, internships are also very, very good, 100%. Do your homework. Yes, all of the obvious things, doing homework. But thank you guys all so much for all of the follows. That was crazy. We just got like, I don't know, 50 or 60 follows. And Elb coming in for the tier 1 resub for 2 Kerbal years. Much love to you. Okay. So yes, I hope that answered your question, Graham. Always happy to answer more. Love talking about space. I literally do it for a living. and now we're here on space YouTubes and space Twitches for talking about it even more. And the follows keep coming in, so much love to all of y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. That belly flop was everything I dreamed when they were doing the SN5 at all testing campaign. My father would have loved watching that live stream. Carhill, 100%. We are watching the live replay, if you will, because we noticed something. If you guys noticed it on EJ's side, the tile took a hit. One of the tiles took a hit, very much similar to the unfortunate Space Shuttle Columbia. We actually saw it on this camera here. It's about to happen. Quite literally, it looks like a tile broke off down here and smacked into the leading edge of this cowling here. Yeah, pretty crazy. So I'm gonna try to stop it right when it happens so we can actually see exactly what it was. I'm pretty sure it was a tile breaking off, but it should happen very soon here. You see all of these little bits of sparks. That is bits of tile, bits of whatever. Oh, and then we also saw the flap overheating. That was awesome as well. But it looked like it stayed intact. It wasn't like Flight Test 4 or Flight Test 5 where we actually got burned through. It actually looked like it just overheated and started getting red hot, but it didn't actually like burn through, if that makes sense. If it didn't actually start melting away, especially like Flight Test 4 that we saw. Let's see if we can't. It's going to happen right here. And oh, there it went. Son of a gun. See that, chat? Do you see it? So we have that massive streak in the tiles now.
It is about an hour or so.
So it's after that pause. Where is it going to happen? Come on. Gosh dang it, every time. But you see that? That's whatever was remaining that smacked into that part of the cowling right there. Interesting. And then, yeah, we start to see the glowing red hot of the forward flap. The forward flap just cannot catch a break, chat. They really got to... hopefully with the redesign of Starship 2, we were talking about that at the beginning of the coverage here. Starship 2.0 is supposed to have smaller, more forward flaps and a different design, where hopefully they can reduce some of the heating. I also think, does anybody know in chat for a fact? I'm under the impression that I heard this from an Elon interview at some point, but correct me if I'm wrong, that Elon said that future Starship Block 2s actually won't even have flaps. Or at least that's like the end goal, that they don't want to have flaps on it, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Got a glowing spot at the root near the back too. Yeah, I want to actually probably go back to an early part of the footage because I'm pretty sure this is an edge of a tile on the body of Starship and not on the flap. I was looking at that as well, that hot spot. We'll look at that afterwards as well. Why did you divert the booster? Did not... I do not know. It looked like one of two things. Either it was an out of bounds parameter on booster for its propellant load for landing, which clearly it was fine, or it was actually a tower issue, because we actually saw on NASA Spaceflight Live's coverage, so NSF, shout out to NSF, got their fantastic t-shirt repping the merch here. Why did I can neither confirm nor deny that I had any part in doing that. You guys should know me. I would never divert that. Why would I? Well, yes, exactly. Why would I? I wouldn't. That's the answer to that. That's the answer to that question. I definitely wouldn't. I'm here live streaming it. I wanted to see the catch, okay? Antenna tower failed. Oh, the antenna tower? Yeah, could have lost connection at some point. I don't know. I don't know enough about the standard operating procedures and the criteria for executing that landing burn that SpaceX tracks, because they track it for both the tower to make sure that the tower is actually able to get into position and actuate to catch, and then they also show it. They're also tracking parameters on booster to make sure that the booster is, has the correct amount of fuel, has the right trajectory off of boost back, and all that sort of stuff to make sure it is good to execute that landing maneuver. So yeah, too many things. ULA snipers could have definitely been. Hyzal, have a good one. Thanks for lurking. But yeah, there's a lot that could have gone wrong in terms of what they were tracking. Wouldn't be surprised if there was a visual check too. Yeah, it could have been. But what I was about to say was we were watching the playback on NSF livestream, and it looked like the catch tower arms were about to move into position to actually get into like the catching position, right? And then they got hung up. And then they stopped moving, and then they went wider, and then they stopped moving again. So I don't know if, and I want to say on flight test 5, they actually dropped down and then got into like a catch attempt here. I have to look back at flight test 5 to actually see if that was the same configuration, but it looked different for this one. So maybe the catch tower was actually not in parameters for a catch. But yeah, don't know. That's all speculation. I'd have to confirm it looking back at flight test 5. They called out tower is go for catch, so I doubt that it was the antenna or the tower. Yeah, I don't know. They did call it was good for tower catch, but I don't know if something changed in between that time that they called we are go to, not being in the right parameters. Don't know. But anyways, so we saw that. That tile or whatever break off and slam into the leading edge of that cowl. With the security of a very important person caused booster diversion. Yeah, but also no. I mean, they have no TAMs out right for this sort of thing. So like unless a high important person just decided to, not pay attention to those no TAMs, I don't think that would be really a thing. Like, yeah, I don't think so. That sounds a little bit far-fetched, personally. Tower may include comms or final visual. Yeah, like I said, just because we got the call out that we were go for a catch attempt at the tower doesn't mean that then after that something happened during like maneuvering of the tower and whatnot for for them to then divert. Let's see. I wanted to go back and actually look at that. So yeah, there's that leading edge that we can see smoldering that took that hit from the tile. And also notice the discoloration all across the back body of Starship here. You're actually starting to see some of the discoloration that happens from superheating steel, and you're seeing that all up the sides here, which is really cool as well. You can literally see the boundary layer where heating was occurring from the plasma reattaching to the vehicle as it was going through re-entry, which is pretty cool. But yeah, had a absolutely fantastic maneuver from spaceship to space plane, and then into space skydiver, and then it became spaceboat, right, chat? Then it became spaceboat. So we'll watch the landing one more time, and then I want to track back and look at a couple other things that we were looking at the very beginning. Like, for example, that forward flap, if that was actually a tile, or if that was actually seeing some burn through on that forward flap. Spaceboat! Coast to coast, that's right.
We could see some flap movement as the camera is moving around.
Possibly an issue with deluge on OLM? Maybe. Like I said, they track so many things to do a catch attempt, right? Both arms have to be able to actuate, both arms have to maneuver into a pre-catch position. You have to have water deluge system pressurized and the water deluge system actually able to activate for the catch attempt. You have to have, good parameters on booster, from propellant load to track on trajectory from the boost back burn. There's so many things that literally they have to make sure are good to do a catch attempt, that it could have been any or all of it. Putting the ship in Starship. What blew my mind, chat, is I feel like this is the first time we've actually been able to see full controllability of the flaps and just how fast they're actuating. Like, having these massive structures, steel structures, by the way, right, moving like this, literally flappy arms, is crazy to me.
Just a couple minutes away from hopefully doing a landing flip.
Starships become spaceboats. Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Could also be programming error like last time almost was. I don't remember that emulated. What happened last time? I was worried about the distortion on the steel, looked like it puffed out. Yeah, that happens. That happens on the heating for sure. We noticed that on flight test 5, or flight test 4 and 5.
And I always wondered what it looked like from the ship's perspective.
Do you think they'll have a secondary recovery tower and pad at some point? That's a good question.
Down a little further and really be flying nose first.
I don't know if they would have a secondary one for catch, because like their whole point, right, is to reduce the number of movements. Like, they want to land booster right back down on the OLM that it's going to take off from again, right? So that way they can just stack another Starship off and go. So I think the only thing that's going to happen is they'll just have more launch sites, more catch towers, more OLMs in the future, in order to hit their cadence that they require. Did you see when they dipped the nose, it looked like they got close to lock and it brought the nose back up? Well, they were definitely doing a pre-planned maneuver for a nose down. It's actually about to happen here. They did say at the very somewhere through the flight that they were going to go into a more aggressive nose down maneuver in order to test the actuation and the controllability with the flaps. So I don't know how close they came to being like gimbal locked and things like that, being control locked and whatnot, but yeah, it recovered. It definitely did an aggressive nose maneuver, though. That is for sure.
I have a feeling this is going to look so cool as it passes through the clouds.
Obligatory.
There's the nose down, starting nose down, nose down, and then coming back up. Yeah, it's true. You can definitely see, so you can see the flaps come up. You can actually see the aft flaps come up as well. And it got into a nose down. And then the flaps went from here, like all the way down to pick the nose back up. So, but yeah, to my knowledge, that was a pre-planned maneuver. Yeah, the flaps went like, okay, we're good. Okay, enough. Okay, we get it. Okay, Starship. You can forward track like a skydiver. We get it. Yeah, with Neuropilot coming in with a Twitch Prime subscription. Much love to you, my friend.
Back up. This is a more severe flip, given the orientation.
A more severe flip.
Will shut down prior to the water making impact, prior to the vehicle making impact with the water.
Oh, great shot. I love seeing the vapor coming off the vehicle, because this is almost like watching you know, all those different aerodynamic tests. Aerodynamic test vapor. Oh, you know what's a great one? I know it. Concorde vortex wind tunnel test. Let's see, where is it? Is it this one? Yeah, I think it's this one. It reminds me of these tests, right, chat? Where you can actually put streamers and then actually have colored smoke and whatnot in your wind tunnel. You can literally see the aerodynamic vortices and whatnot, the natural aerodynamics coming off of the vehicle when it goes through the clouds. Like, look at that. So this is Concorde. Concorde, the wings were designed to quite literally generate vortices over the wing. Why? Because vortices prevent, or I should say, stave off boundary layer separation. These vortices quite literally add energy into the airstream coming over the wing, which prevents stall, right? Stall is when your wing starts having boundary layer separation and you get a lot of turbulent drag over the wing. So these vortices coming off both the leading edge up front as well as off of this the interesting design of the Concorde, basically back here near the last third of the wing had like a hitch in the wing to create this back end vortice over the top of the wing in order to, like I said, you basically add energy to the air moving over the wing in this direction, which there is skin friction, right? When you have air rolling over the side of a wing, it starts slowing down. And when it gets too slow, right, it then separates and it causes a lot of drag, and that's when you get stall. So this vortice here is actually literally speeding up the air as it's coming over down this side of the wing. So seeing it, those natural vortices coming off of Starship as it goes through the clouds and whatnot's really, really cool to see. Doesn't it prevent Mach tuck? Mach tuck? I'm not sure about that. What is that? But yeah, that's what that reminded me of, seeing all of these come off the vehicle.
Great so far.
There it goes. We had good 3-engine ignition, by the way, as well, and then good shutdown to 2 engines. You used to do that with paper airplanes? Hell yeah.
Wow.
Oh, great shot, chat. Great shot. You don't want separation. No, you do not. And just easy peasy, chat. And then they cut to this camera, and then they cut back, and the thing's in like 2 pieces. It's like, what happened? Mach tuck is a nose-down movement of jets when they go transonic. Oh, interesting. You learn something new every day, chat. I did not know that. I did not know that terminology. Interesting.
To be honest, I think many
Does it prevent Mach tuck? I don't know. I don't know if it strictly prevents that. To me, that's generally that wing design that we were showing with the vortices is for really high angles of attack, generally speaking for landings. When you have delta wings, right, you really need a high angle of attack in order to generate the same amount of lift that you would require for, say, maybe a more conventional planar wing design.
While flying a lesser
need full buoy vid. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Do we know if the banana survived? The banana's probably going to be at the bottom of the Indian Ocean here soon enough.
Calculations
yeah.
Predicted, and that is why we test like we fly.
Exactly.
Test like we fly. That is the gold standard. Literally, literally the gold standard. If you want to know, let's see, I think it's Goddard gold standard test like you fly. It's quite literally, yeah, Flight Center rules, the gold standard Goddard Flight Center rules for the design and development. Yeah, it's quite literally a standard. Yeah, it's quite literally called the gold standard by Goddard. And so they actually say in here, test as you fly. See? So test like you fly, test as you fly. Quite literally, it is part of the Goddard spaceflight development standard for developing vehicles. And essentially all it says is that you should try to, throughout all development cycles of your approach, testing all of your components, both at the subcomponent level, the component level, the subsystem level, and then your flight system level in a flight-like environment. So that's either thermal vacuum chambers, that is, in a radiation environment. There's all these sorts of different tests, right, that you should do to make sure that your system is fully qualified for flight. And so that's what they're saying. You test like you fly. That is quite literally the gold standard for spaceflight development. Concorde uses a tail trim tank with transonic supersonic trim to avoid excess control surface drag. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, Concorde is an amazing beast of a vehicle.
Incredible to watch. Because of Starlink, we were able to get the views all the way
That's the
down,
software in flight mode. Yeah,
buoys,
pretty much.
Seeing ship touchdown in daylight. So
I'm curious why they didn't catch the first stage again. I am too. I really want to see why they didn't. And another Twitch Prime, or was that the one that was just coming through from Neuropilot? Oh wow. Yeah, sorry. The alerts, because you guys have been awesome and been spamming all the follows and subs. Yeah, the alert is a little bit behind. So Neuropilot, I think I already said thank you. So thank you again for the Twitch Prime.
Cool. So cool.
Yeah, I want to know why they didn't attempt the catch as well. We know that there's a lot of parameters that they are looking at, both on the tower as well as in the vehicle, to make sure everything is good for catch tower execution. So I don't know. It was either a problem with the vehicle or the tower, something they didn't like. And I said at the very beginning before the actual flight here, just like flight test 5, they required a manual command from the flight director to booster for it to execute the actual landing attempt. So yeah, they didn't give it. So it landed in the Gulf of Mexico software landing test. All right, let's go ahead and look back here. So like I said, there's a couple things I wanted to see. I'm hoping we can get a full screen view of this forward flap, because as somebody in chat, I think it was you, Aqualex, right, said that it looked like there was some burn through in the back here. I'm pretty sure that's just a tile that does get, oh, that's it right there. Awesome. Oh gosh, it's below the overlay though, which sucks. But I think that's a tile right there. And the tiles are like this, they have an edge to them. And of course the edge, your heat flux increases by like the inverse of the radius of your body. So when you come to a point, your radius basically goes to 0, and so you get infinite heating. So that's why typically around like leading edges of wings, for example, or the edges of tiles, they get really smoldering red hot. But it's hard to see in this camera angle because of the overlay if that's actually a tile there or not. But great views on this side of Starship for this flight, because you can kind of see what looks like a tile maybe right there. And then as we go further and get that same camera angle again, we can see that red spot, which I was really interested in. And this one as well. I think that's the actual actuator, right? And that actuator is getting red hot, which is not great. And then we're also seeing, of course, the superheating of the leading edge skin, I guess, of the forward flap here. So yeah, lots of heating. Heating is a big issue with Starship for sure. We could definitely see all the way through the entire flight regime. Oh, banana for scale in the payload bay. Like I was pointing out at the very beginning of stream, you could actually literally watch, especially now that we can rewind, the boundary layer change for Starship. So you can see it here, right? The boundary layer. Because we're not at a very high atmospheric pressure and we're not hitting a lot of particles going through the atmosphere, the plasma boundary layer is getting really, really pushed out, right? So it's very, very far away from the vehicle. But as we maintain our velocity and get lower and lower in the atmosphere, we get a much more defined wake, plasma wake, and that boundary layer gets closer and closer and closer to the vehicle to where ultimately it's like right up against the vehicle here, right? And then you're seeing all the shocks coming off of it as well. But yeah, plasma accumulation across the entire vehicle is absolutely insane to watch. You can even see up here the hot spot right behind the cowling. There's basically a dead air zone because the cowling, right, basically like the back of Starship, just goes and then stops. And because of that cowling stops right here, you get a big zone of just like dead air where plasma can just accumulate, and it's accumulating right there on the leading edge of that forward or that rear flap. And then the last thing you can see are all of these different shocks or channels being kind of grooved into the plasma wake here, which is really cool to see. So this big one, of course, is coming off of the cowl and the flap, but then all of these little tiny ones are coming from imperfections in the tiles and the body of Starship. Like you can quite literally see the body of Starship crinkling right under the different heating and cooling that it's gone through during this flight, and all of those basically then get transferred into the boundary layer of the plasma wake, which is really insane. But yeah, awesome to see, like really, really cool. It's okay if none of the moving parts go hot, but if the actual hinges and stuff glow, it's no bueno. Yeah, indeed, Ragnar. That's what I was definitely looking at on these cameras here. Like there you can see, I'm pretty sure that's a tile. I'm pretty sure that's the edge of a tile that's just getting hot. But yeah, earlier that hinge, you can see that hinge right there. That's the actual actuator is getting hot. Like that's, you don't want that. That is like the worst thing that can get hot and melt away is that hinge right there. How's it going, by the way, Jeb? How are you doing? That wrinkle in the body near the camera seems to get worse. It does, yeah. Look, see, that's it there. And then if we scroll back, look at that. Nice, perfect, smooth body at the start. And then as we go through heating, it gets more and more crinkled. Look at that, though. Look how smooth that looks right there. Like baby skin smooth, chat. And then by the end of it, it's aged like 30 years. Yeah, that's a big crinkle in the body. Yeah, that's crazy to see. Like just going from there to like back here. Like you can definitely, oh, ooh, did you actually see it move there, chat? Oh, that's awesome. Look right there. As I fast forward, you can actually see the skin move in as it gets heated. You can actually see it move. See it? Oh man, that's crazy. Or am I in the way? I'm in the way, gosh dang it. I'm glad I checked that. I'm in the way. There we go. All right, so watch right here where my big head was previously. As I go back and forth, you can see the entire skin of the vehicle cave inward. Oh, there it goes. See it? See the cave on the body? That's really weird to see, chat. Oh, that's so weird. And there was another, oh, right there too, chat. Yeah, that crinkle just gets worse and worse and worse. Let's see if I can find another one. Yeah, it just gets worse and worse. Oh man, not great, Bob. Did you see it? Did you? Of course you did. What's up, Adam Montage? How are you doing? How are you doing? Move down in front. Yeah, move your fat head. They need the shuttle thermal blankets on the upper part. Maybe. I don't know how that will work because even with like Nomex blankets and whatnot, which the shuttle had, the white blanket essentially on the top part of the shuttle. I don't know how that would work here because the whole reason why they stripped all of these tiles down was so that way the grabbing arms can basically grab it coming up the side for a tower catch attempt, right? Because like up here they would have the pins, right? And so they need the arms to be able to come in and then, you know, squeeze it. So I don't know. I don't even know if they can actually use Nomex. But like I said, it's fine. It's fine. it's fine. Like, you know, steel and whatnot is kind of meant to do that. And, you know, once it gets repressurized and chilled down, it'd be interesting to know what the thermal properties of the steel are after a re-entry like this. So hopefully one day soon they can actually get it back, right? Like that's probably the biggest thing that they want to see when they actually catch, or once they actually get a Starship vehicle back, is how in the heck is the entire structural integrity of this thing holding up? Because yeah, like I was saying, you can clearly see as I'm fast forwarding, you can see that crinkle right here just like get deeper and deeper and deeper inset. Like Starship is aging 30 years. Those wrinkles are getting more and more inset as it's going through re-entry there. It's pretty interesting. Could it be heating from the inside if the bulkhead was breached? Yeah, but I think if the bulkhead was breached, you'd have much worse issues. Yeah. Like if the bulkhead was breached and you had no tiles on the bottom, this thing would not last very long. It would certainly not go through all of re-entry. The steel would likely be brittle in places, yeah, because we can actually see even at the end once we got into daylight here. Like you can see the heating causing discoloring in the steel, and like I said, steel is meant to do that. Steel does that, right? But that will change the thermal properties of steel to some degree. Maybe not a lot, but it will change it, especially as you keep putting it through its thermal cycles and heating it and cooling it and heating it and cooling it, pressurizing it, depressurizing it, right? Yeah, so it's definitely going to be a testament to SpaceX's structural engineers for this, for sure. They could put extra plating in that spot. Yeah, they could. Again, you have to trade that off with mass now, right? Because if you're adding extra plating and it's going to be the same steel structure and it's going to be a strip the entire side length of the vehicle here, how much mass is that? You know, ideally no part would be the best part, but of course you have to balance that with actual feasibility. On the top, it's also discolored. Yeah, you can see it here as well, because they don't show a camera view, and I really wish they would. But if you guys have seen that fairing reentry video, this is essentially what's happening on the top of Starship, right? So this is an old Falcon 9 camera from 2019, from a fairing inside of Falcon 9. So there's the there's one shell of the Falcon 9 fairing there, and then we're basically sitting in a camera inside looking up and back from the point of the fairing. And this is what plasma does on the other side of Starship. So plasma, if you imagine this being the half body of Starship, the plasma is getting pushed out and away from the Starship body, and then it basically comes back around and reattaches. And depending on how fast that happens, if you get reattachment really close to the top part of the body, then you're getting a lot of heating on the top part of the body. So it's basically doing this on the top part of Starship, where all that plasma and all that heat is coming back around and reattaching to itself, because Starship is basically going fast enough where it's ripping a hole through the atmosphere, right? And it's basically creating a vacuum right above it. And yeah, so as soon as it gets pushed out, all that air pressure, even though it's only a little bit at 100 kilometers, is slamming back together and reattaching to itself, which is really cool. The light interferes with itself differently at each frequency. That's true. Yeah, from the oxide layer, 100% Notan. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that was an old fairing catch attempt camera, and they almost caught this one, if I'm not mistaken, from Mystery. I don't think they ended up catching it. I think it fell off. But they almost caught that fairing. But that's essentially what's happening, you know, going through re-entry back here. See all of this? Basically, you're getting reattachment of the flow, and that's superheated because of plasma. Yeah. And you can see it really good right there. And all up the sides as well. The other question is, will a vehicle that has been through that be able to withstand the mechanical stress of a launch? Not yet another, yeah, just another re-entry? Yeah, 100%. Yep. All of these questions have to be answered. And remember, Chad, like I said, this will be the last flight of Block 1, right? Next block, Flight 7 should be Block 2 Starship. Block 2 Starship's going to be stretched. It's going to be bigger. It's going to carry more propellant. It's going to have a different design on the forward flaps. It'll be the same vehicle, but it'll definitely have some different aerodynamics and other properties. So we'll see. We'll see exactly how Block 2 Starship can handle things. And X froze? Hello? Okay. Am I still streaming? I am still streaming, so it's not me. Starship 6 was easily a good flight. Yeah, very easily a good flight, 100%, yeah. Let me put my fat head back over here. There we go. I'm wondering about some form of thin titanium skid plate, to be honest, similar to the metallic TPS that they were proposing for Star Raker. Ah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't know what kind of tests that they were doing with materials on this one. They were, I think, testing ablative materials on this particular test flight, so I don't know if they've done any testing with like titanium like that, but doesn't mean that they can't. Unfortunately, titanium's just really expensive, so like having however large of a titanium tile system or titanium guardrail, whatever you want to call it, thermal protection plate, I don't know how much titanium that would be. It was an older heat shield. Yeah, they were testing some kind of heating like that. Oh, okay, and that finally went away. Well, anyways, chat, I think that's a pretty good place to stop, because it's been a good one. It's definitely been a fantastic stream and a great launch coverage, and I really appreciate you all coming over here from EJ and that raid. But yeah, unfortunately, I got a day job and I gotta get back to it. So really good flight. But that's gonna have to do it for me tonight, chat. I think our next stream will probably be tomorrow. More Kerbal Space Program. If you're new to the stream, I play Kerbal Space Program when I'm not streaming SpaceX launch events, which seems to be every so often as well. We play Kerbal Space Program, and I use Python to automate our launches and landings. So we're working on our guidance, navigation, and control on stream, writing Python to hopefully be able to land a Falcon style of rocket on a barge. Well, we're doing it in a roadmap similar to SpaceX. We're starting with RTLS. We're going to then try to go for a barge landing, and then we're going to try to go for a catch tower landing in the very distant future after everything else gets solved. But yeah, we're doing a lot of that. So hope to see you guys here tomorrow. I usually start streaming here at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So much love to everybody. Have a good night. Fantastic stream. Happy Tuesday. And if I don't see you, have a good rest of your Wednesday. Peace out, everybody.